correct ticker.
I was thinking about him earlier today, though. He was on my mind. Because do you remember how the Marlins, like 80%... No, but the Marlins in 2020, 80% of their team got COVID, so they called up their entire AAA roster, and one of them was just an Olympic speed skater who happened to be there. And he was actually pretty good.
That's hilarious. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Sports Block. I suppose.
The whole Sports Block. It's together today.
We're all here.
Everything's together today. As you can see, Tomas is sitting here with Calvin and I because we are doing a combined show today, kind of centered all around Chicago sports and some other non-Chicago sports things. But we kind of just want to do a little special episode, kind of the penultimate episode of the year, or the penultimate block of 2025. Yeah. How are we doing today? We have Gabe, Michaela, and Sammy Krimstein on. Sammy, obviously former host of Sports Voice, and Gabe, a future host of. I guess you want to just talk about your show real quick and maybe just a quick ad. I know we play your ad. We play your ad, but
How many times has this happened to you?
Yeah. I'm in that ad. Right?
So is Calvin.
Yeah.
The entire viewer heard that ad.
Everyone, the ad is built by this group.
Yeah, if you loved Tomas and Sid doing an amazing show all quarter long, well, tough luck. I'll be taking over next quarter. No, I love Obscure Ballers as well. We'll be talking Winter Olympics during Milan, so everything from... I'm very excited to talk about skeleton. To
have similar energy to Obscure Ballers, for sure.
Yeah, I think hockey is maybe the most famous Winter Olympic sport, at least on the American side, as one of the big four, but it's very obscure sports, all centered around the Winter Olympics, and hopefully you'll see many of these faces again.
Sure. How are you two doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Glad to be back. This is my second time back here since I was the host of the Sports Voice with Claire, and we're trying to get her back, us two at the same time. But it's good to be back. It's definitely weird being on the other side of things. My first time back this quarter. So glad to be here. I've been wanting to come on all quarter, and the timing finally worked out. So ready to talk some sports and have a good time.
Yay! So, well, I'm a little bit tired. Gabe and I were just at Fort Myers, and it was the most fun thing ever. But that does not mean that I'm not tired, but ready to talk about sports and to talk about one of my favorite sports too. That it's quite popular right now thanks to Northwestern team.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, obviously for all of us, or just kind of everyone from the Sports Block and WNUR, we hope you had a very happy Thanksgiving. Got, whatever food you desired, whatever things you desired. It was time with family, or I guess the women's basketball team, which I think, on the list of things that are important. I don't know. They're up there.
That's got to be one of the coolest road trip opportunities the school's ever offered in terms of women's basketball road trips, of which there have been many. So
I mean, you were at a resort, right? And you got Thanksgiving dinner with the team.
Let's hear it. Yeah, we're at a resort in Fort Myers with the team. 2 games for the team, one against Abilene Christian, the other against Missouri. The former went better than the latter for Northwestern. But no, honestly, Abilene Christian, such a fun team to watch. Their defense was nuts. And Missouri, a very fun offensive team. But 1-1 on the end of it, and always a great time. Shout out to NU Athletics for having us along.
For sure, yeah. All right, Tomas, you want to just take us into the first
Yeah,
segment?
absolutely. So, since this is an obscure ballers sports voice kind of crossover, we'll start off with the typical first segment of the sports block, which is obscure ballers of the week. So it's your opportunity to really just highlight anyone in obscurity from the past week, and it can be anyone and everyone, even tangentially related to sports, to be honest. But I'll get us kicked off with a Chicago Bull. Now, really tough stretch for the Bulls. I don't really want to talk about that, but I do want to talk about Lachlan Ulbrich. So Lachlan Ulbrich is a 6'8" out of Australia, Adelaide, Australia, and he just debuted with the Bulls against the Pacers, and that's everything that happened against the Pacers. So I just love seeing Australians on the Bulls, right? Like I think of Luke Longley, Josh Giddey, right? I think there's a really nice tradition of Australian players playing for the Chicago Bulls. He won the NBL championship with the Illawarra Hawks in 2024-25. Love a good NBL shout out. And he was drafted by the Lakers in the second round of the NBA draft. Now with the Bulls, he's a two-way player with the Windy City Bulls. But it was nice to see him get his first playing minutes in the NBA, and he was on the court for like 11 minutes, so it wasn't like he was just on there for a little bit of garbage time at the end, and it was a close game too. So love to see it. 11 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 3 from the field, 3 rebounds. Love to see the good hustle there from Lachlan.
Yeah, I mean, good for him for getting his first points. I wish it was around something better.
Yeah.
I wish that it was not kind of re-emphasizing how the Bulls are just really not there. Something I do want to kind of build off that is Josh Giddey is mentioning Australian. He recently just passed Kobe and Kareem in all-time triple doubles.
Very true.
So he's 24th all-time in triple doubles. Just
So I think time to induct him into the Hall, right?
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
That's what I
That's
heard.
what I'm hearing.
I think that is the word on the streets.
Many are
as
saying
many
this.
say. Also,
People are saying.
last time I heard about the Illawarra Hawks, I think was when LaMelo played for them. That's what I was thinking
Yes,
about.
he was on LaMelo was on it,
just random stuff. But Lachlan, he did get his first points, and I just wish I hope that maybe his presence can elevate the team in some way. Especially
plus 15 on the game.
plus yeah, I mean that's the best on the team.
Best one, yeah.
That's the best on the team. So in his 11 minutes, something. Yeah, for me, I'm also gonna go kind of basketball-esque, but I'm kind of going for a loophole here. So recently there was a guy on a fan of the Miami Heat hit like a half-court shot for like $10,000, and then I saw like another one. I think it was like the Timberwolves, and someone got like $5,000, and that's great. That's awesome. Like good for them. But what kind of my obscure ballers, a guy by the name of Don Calhoun, and so this is a Chicago-related one. He is someone who hit a shot in 1993. I get that's not this week, but close enough because this is what I was thinking about. For $1 million. He shot for $1 million, a game between the Bulls and the Miami Heat. So that's kind of the connection there. On April 14th.
All that happened.
Yes. April 14th, 93. It's known as the Immaculate Connection. So and he made it for $1 million, but then the insurance company who was running the promotion tried to not give him the money. And so they were just saying that like because he had played basketball at one point in his life ever, that therefore he should not have been allowed to shoot the shot because they want only people who have no idea what they're doing, so then no one ever makes $1 million. So they voided it. But Coca-Cola and Let Us Entertain You, a couple other sponsors along with the Bulls, decided this guy still deserved at least some money. So basically they pledged to give him $50,000 a year, essentially in perpetuity, at least I think for 20 years minimum. So he still got his money, and I feel like not to like harp on the people who made $10,000 or $5,000 shots, but I mean I feel like these sponsors have to be honing up more money maybe because a guy like Don Calhoun, there should be another one, and at least for now I don't know if there will be.
That's a Bobby Bonilla type contract right there.
Yeah.
He played for Bloomington High School and apparently signed a 1-year contract with the Harlem Globetrotters after the shot.
All right.
So, wow. Good for him.
Things are good. It resulted in good things. But yeah, 75-foot shot. Clutch.
Well, I'll go with mine. I'm going to do a last second pivot actually because I was going to talk about Chick Evans, founder of the Evans Scholars Program, Evanstonian golfer. But, I'm in a football mood. I kind of want to manifest the Commanders doing well tonight. So let's talk about a former Chicago Bear who probably nobody knows is a Chicago Bear. And I didn't even really know until a couple minutes ago when I was trying to figure this out. But I do remember his time on the Commanders. That is Ziggy Hood, former defensive lineman, defensive tackle for the Commanders. Played some seasons there during 2016, 2017, 2018. Really played through some mediocre years in the Bruce Allen era. This was kind of right before the whole Chase Young experiment, right when Jonathan Allen was coming in to the fold. It was right at the end of Ziggy Hood's tenure. And, he played 2 games with the Bears in 2015. Can't say he put up any stats, but, did pretty well.
Special teamer.
He was a rather,
Yeah.
I mean, a rather mediocre run stopper through 2 or 3 seasons. Got a couple sacks. I do remember the Ziggy Hood forced fumble in 2016. Now he's been retired for several seasons. He's got kind of that like on brand name, but more so I think was a precursor to what we're seeing today with, I think, the Commanders' defensive line struggles, because for so many years the Commanders have had sort of this like mediocre pass rush that's never really played up to its full potential, been pretty inconsistent, made some plays but hasn't ever done too much. And I don't want to say you can thank Ziggy Hood for that, but he's certainly someone out there who filled that role for this team back many years ago, and someone who I look back on somewhat fondly, I suppose, because the team wasn't, they weren't too bad back then. There have been worse years than when Ziggy Hood was on the team, and I would like to think that he made a positive impact in some ways. So there's my obscure baller, and I again didn't even realize he was a Bear until just a few minutes ago.
We'll go down the line.
All right. How many of y'all have heard of Dorothy Dodson?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
How many of you have heard of World War II?
I have.
Okay.
Yes. See,
Well-
I know that one.
Well, her career got messed up a bit by World War II. Famously, before I was talking about any of these obscure sports on the air, I talked about javelin in high school. And she was an athlete in the javelin throw, the discus throw, and the shot put. Born in Chicago in 1919, Dorothy Lucille Dodson competed in 11 straight AAU indoor track and field championships, taking home the gold twice in women's shot put, once in women's discus throw, and once in women's javelin throw. And then she was also on the 1948 USA Olympic track and field team. It was believed that she would have handily made it onto the team in 1940 and 1944, the prime of her career, but because of World War II, there were no Olympic Games to compete in. And when she was in it in 1948, it was just about a year before the end of her career, so she was well beyond her prime at that point, and finished 4th place, 10 centimeters away from a bronze medal in the javelin throw, where she was a finalist. But like, Dorothy Dodson should be another list of Chicago medalists in the history of the Olympics. But thanks to a failed artist, she can no longer hold that honor.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you've enlightened us all to some Dorothy Dodson. I was gonna go with a different guy, but now that I'm realizing that these obscure ballers of the week actually don't have anything to do with the current week, I'm gonna go to someone that is near and dear to my heart, and that is Eddie Butler. I know at least half of us here are Cubs fans. Eddie Butler was a Chicago Cub. Let me double check on my years. But it was like, let's see, Eddie Butler. It was, let's see, he was a Cub.
2017 to 18.
Yeah, my baseball reference. I'm in the amateur college and minor tab. So yes, 2017-18 Chicago Cub. And the reason I want to talk about him is because he had a very unique game, a game in which I was there. This is the second game of the 2018 season. The Cubs are playing at the Miami Marlins. People may remember this series because Ian Happ hit a leadoff home run to begin the season. First pitch of the season, hit a leadoff home run, and that was game number 1 of the series, of course. Game number 2, I was in attendance. The final score of this game was 1-2. This game was played in 17 innings, and Eddie Butler comes in to the 10th inning, goes 7. He pitches from the 10th inning to the 17th inning, and it was a masterclass. 4 hits, 1 earned run, which ended up being the walk-off run for the Marlins. But I want to give him a shout-out for an outing that I think we've all forgotten about, and I think we should bring some attention to, because to come in the 10th and give 7 solid innings, in no world does anyone sitting in that bullpen think that they're going to go 7 innings, especially when they're coming in the 10th. So, gonna give some love to my man Eddie Butler. I did stay the entire game. Let's see. I wonder if there's like a runtime on this game. I know there is.
It
I'm
looks
not.
like he's also in his future after. First of all, he was traded for Cole Hamels, which
He
was also a
was.
very interesting
Really?
Cub.
Yes, very
So
interesting.
that's how Cole Hamels got to the Cubs. The other thing, he played for the NC Dinos, which is not North Carolina. That's
Yes.
in the Korean baseball.
Yes,
league.
KBO legend.
And then he moved to the Chicago Dogs in Rosemont,
Yeah.
Illinois, right across the street, or I guess across the highway from the Big Ten headquarters. So
And,
you know he's related to us too at this point.
Right, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Very, very deeply in the Chicago kind of fabric,
Although
which I think
it
fits with the
seems
show.
it seems as a Chicago Dog, he went 0-7 with a
But
6-year. Ooh.
it's okay.
Well, that's okay.
No,
It's okay.
It couldn't be a different Eddie Butler.
Must be a different one. If
No, look at
anyone
the Sierra, he was let down by that
Southern
defense.
Maryland
exactly,
visited their stadium.
if anyone was
Oh.
curious, the duration of this baseball game that I was at when I was like 11 years old or 12 or whatever it was, 5 hours and 18 minutes. Rob Manfred must have been shaking in his boots. He probably watched this game and thought of all the rule changes
That's
with
why
the
we have
runners.
pitch clock.
This game is probably the reason we have the pitch clock and the runners during extra innings. But that aside, Eddie Butler, 10th through 17th inning, absolute dog. Even if his time as a Chicago Dog didn't go accordingly, he will always be a Chicago Dog.
Wow.
DAWG.
Man, Will's client knew, huh?
Yeah, so my story is a little bit going back to the past, but inspired to what is going on right now. And is that, well, Northwestern field hockey team just won the NCAA championship just in November 23rd, defeating Pierson 2-1. Yeah, and it's our back-to-back title because this is the second consecutive national championship that we're getting. But that also reminded me about how field hockey is one of those sports that are like so important, but most people even just ignore them or forget about them. And specifically here in the United States, where when you think of hockey, the first thing that comes to your mind is ice hockey, but not field hockey. And I believe that in Latin America, I come from Peru, um just go. So in Latin America, it is a little bit more known, but specifically because of one country and because of one specific team. And that's why I wanted to like just bring back the story of Las Leonas, the lioness from Argentina, which even though everyone calls them the lioness, they are actually the national team of Argentina. It's not like an independent team, which is something that I didn't know until that long ago. And is that in 1997 they decided that because many people from around Europe had like their teams have their own names, they realized that them, in order to be more known around the world, they also had to have a new name. Therefore, they named themselves Las Leonas and designed a new logo for their own team that had a lioness, so people would recognize them as that. Therefore, the people from Europe specifically started to don't call them the Argentinian team because that was so broad. And when you think about just Argentina, you think about many other things, but not hockey. But when you specifically say the Lioness, it just becomes another story. And specifically because of that, and because of course all the effort that they did, they had multiple wins in the FIA Championships trophy, including 2001, 2008, 2009, 2010, 12, 20, 2014, and 2016. And their biggest lioness, their biggest like player from all is called Luciana Aymar, who won 8 times the best player in the world or award from the International Hockey Federation, just showing about how important she was not only for this team but for the sports area in general. And I also really wanted to talk a little bit more about the lioness because I do believe that specifically in the continent of America in general, it is still not that known or not that common to see women just thriving a lot in sports and being like the face of a country. But in Argentina, apart from their soccer team, which everyone knows, I think the Lioness team is also the team that is right by their side. And just seeing how much good things the female field hockey team from Northwestern has brought us so much joy this week, it just reminded me just directly to the Lioness story.
Yeah, two-time World Cup champions. I mean, they won a bronze medal in Paris, silver medal in Tokyo. I think a lot of people with field hockey they think of the Netherlands, right? But Argentina is right up there, right, in terms of powerhouses in field hockey and above the United States, which I think might be a reason why maybe not as many Americans follow the sport. But it's definitely growing. It's definitely growing, and Northwestern I think is putting themselves up as one of those main names in American field hockey.
Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah, huge, huge, huge. So yeah, no, you love to see it. And yeah, like you said, Michaela, a lot of people think of the Argentine soccer team, which I mean, of course, world
Yeah.
champions, but the field hockey team and in Latin America, like you said, everyone knows, like Las Leonas, like that's a powerhouse name in sports. So definitely someone that the field hockey team here definitely they're aware of them, right?
Yeah.
And so it's something that I think is kind of really a big proponent of the sport in that region. And hey, maybe Northwestern can kind of have a similar impact here in the U.S. We'll see.
Hopefully. And on that note, that's a really good segue. If Calvin, you want to take us into Northwestern sports?
Sure. Lots to talk about in Northwestern sports. Some good, mostly bad. Not so great in terms of a weekend for Northwestern sports, but certainly lots to get into. And I think it's only fair to start with football because, of course, big rivalry game over the weekend in the snow. Lots of fans were not able to come to the Illinois game because half the stadium was closed off and they weren't allowed to be there. There's also a snow game. It was pretty fun to watch from home. Maybe not so fun to watch in terms of the viewing experience with the heat, but not at the end. Not maybe throughout most of the game. Maybe at the very start. I think when Northwestern was leading and it was like looking good for the offense and Preston Stone looked like Preston Stone last week. I think it looked pretty fun, but as the game went on, of course, not great. 4 turnovers for Stone, 3 interceptions and a fumble. He really was not able to come through in the fourth quarter. The Cats fell 20-13 to Illinois at the end of the game. And it felt like almost like the reverse of the Michigan game, where it was like, obviously the Cats still lost, but where Bryce Underwood was throwing interceptions and couldn't drive his team down in the fourth quarter. It was just like kind of similar situation for Preston Stone. Obviously, one of them was a Welsing drop that maybe, up to you guys to debate whether it was, ultimately his fault or not that one was intercepted. But Preston Stone made some pretty bad decisions, and it just allowed Illinois to control the pace of the game. I mean, they had a decent running game. Luke Altmaier really didn't need to throw that much. The Cats possessed the ball a lot. They didn't really have any running backs. I mean, they had a tight end running the ball 22 times.
Hey, they had Robbie Preckle.
Yeah, we can't hate
Preckle.
I do think that's genuinely
Mr. Fullback.
The
Mr.
Robbie
Fullback.
Preckle legacy game.
No,
Well, it
is.
would have been if we won.
Yes, it would have been. No one will remember it. Now.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he had 22 carries though. There was just nobody left. I mean, it would have either been Preckle, Albert Kanikas, Daniel Anderson. Is there anybody else?
People are talking about Chase Farrell at running
Chase
back.
Farrell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ryan
sorry.
Bowe at running back.
If they put Chase Farrell in, that would really only result in. No offense to Chase Farrell, but his very few appearances this season, it has only been.
Could have been.
I don't know. Preseason, Calvin was convinced he was better than Griffin Wilde.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
That was a really bad take. I mean, okay, so this game also does hit home for Sammy, Tomas, and I because all three of us were slated to travel for WNUR or Northwestern News Network, and unfortunately, the weather just did not permit. I mean, I guess we could have technically gone, I guess, on Friday night, but that just was not in the cards. I feel like, and I just think that it was definitely the right move. The weather was not good, and honestly, by them losing, and I know this is selfish, but I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better about not going, even though I was really sad. And I was looking forward to doing an end with Sammy. But
we'll run it back, Pierson.
We will run it back. We will run it back. I think the biggest thing here, Preston Stone started off the season at Tulane, 4 interceptions. Right, he goes into this game, fumbles on 4th and inches, as well as 3 picks. So 4 turnovers are the bookends of the season for Preston Stone. Take that what you will. I mean, I don't think that means that he hasn't improved, but it certainly is.
There was that one pick too that was taken away.
Yeah.
That
yes,
it should have been 4.
Yes,
right.
And so essentially, you have a situation where, in terms of yes, okay, whatever, it was 100-something passes since he had thrown an interception. Despite that, they still lost the Nebraska game, the USC game, the Michigan game. And so that doesn't really, okay, that's cool. Good for Preston Stone. But it really feels like in terms of the turnovers, he just, bookend to bookend, he really has not improved in terms of his IQ and what he's looking for in terms of these plays. Because it really feels like, and part of that might be the play calling here as well. And I understand that with Robbie Preckle at running back, despite his career game, that you have to change your game plan a little bit. David Braun said in the post-game press conference that he was expecting Caleb Komalafe to play. And so it was really something where around game time, they just realized that whatever happened in practice, and was it even announced what happened?
No, he was just suddenly questionable.
Yeah, so apparently something happened in practice. Some people are not conspiracy, but like the thing is like when they all ran out on the field or something happened there when they're all like shirtless and stuff. I'm not sure.
Frostbite.
It could be. I don't know. All I know though is that
Frostbitten pecs.
I've talked about this a lot. Like I've been on the show about how Zach Lujan, the biggest thing that I haven't seen from him is the ability to adapt. It really felt like in this game he did not adapt. And part of that also is, and probably the one thing like that annoys me about David Braun and his coaching staff is that they aren't aggressive, and that's something that I feel like is out of everything. David Braun's a great head coach. I think he will be here next year just by making the bowl game. I think that should have secured his job, and I'd be shocked if it isn't. But the one thing is, like for example, and sure you could say hindsight, but I was saying this at the time, like end of half, you already give up. You give up the field goal because of what happened in the previous series. You come back with 30 seconds left, and you don't even attempt to try to get into field range. And I get like being conservative there, but it's just like it feels like it's moments like that where Northwestern can't afford to be conservative. And in past games, this isn't the only game where something like that has cost them, where it's clock management or something where let's call a timeout in the first quarter and then we can't use it. Right. And so I think that just stuff like that is something maybe they have to work on. They have to make sure in the bowl game that that's stirred up. I guess kind of just opening it up to all of you. The biggest question, right, is whether Preston Stone is going to start the bowl game, right? I think that's something that is a serious, and I think that he should personally, but I think it is a question of like, how do you evaluate his season as a Wildcat, considering how, yes, he had an awesome Minnesota game, but besides that, he really was not where Northwestern fans expect him to be, nor was he where his $1 million in NIL probably should make him.
Yeah. I feel with Stone, I think his season and his career, just disappointment is the word, because I was having this conversation with some of my roommates who are both friends of the station, but Preston Stone is potentially one of the more talented quarterbacks Northwestern has had here in years. An NFL talent guy, huge arm, and we did see it at times, and can make incredible throws. Even yesterday, where we're talking about the 3 picks as we should be, and some of the boneheaded, for lack of a better word, decisions, but he also made some really good throws. There was one in particular, I think it was on a slant, where he just threaded the needle right in between 2 defenders, and it was like, I mean, that's an NFL throw. So it's like, okay, you have a guy who has an NFL arm, can make NFL throws, and then when it comes to the decision making on the by and large, that is where it pulls him down from what we have seen this season. And it's disappointing when you have a guy who like has the tools, and when the intangibles are the tools that you're missing, it feels so fixable. And that's been the frustrating part all season, because from the Tulane games, like, all right, he threw 4 picks, but like, let's see some progression. And like, I won't say that we didn't see progression, but as opposed to like, an upward trajectory, it was an ebb and flow. It was Tulane, okay, he looked terrible. The next few weeks he looks a little better, and then later in the season, right, Minnesota, you're looking great, and then Illinois, terrible. So I think disappointing is really the word. And I will say, I don't know if anyone's mentioned this yet, but I do want to give huge credit to the Northwestern defense yesterday. They held strong. They played a winning game on their end. Making plays on 4th down, on the goal line, when it mattered, right? I mean, they were winning the line of scrimmage, and it showed. So it's a shame that a defensive effort like that isn't commemorated, and that the offense couldn't do anything. And I do think it's a different game if Caleb Komolafe is playing, if Hyman is playing. You can't do anything about that. But at the end of the day, Northwestern wins that game if Preston Stone is not throwing 3 interceptions and fumbling the football.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, shout out to Hayden Elegant as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he was 1 yard shy of 2 consecutive games with 100+ yards in a year that was dominated by Griffin Wilde, and rightfully so. And we'll see if Griffin Wilde ends up staying. I hope he does. But I could certainly see a world where he opts to transfer out, considering how talented he clearly is. But I mean, Hayden Elegant is a guy who everyone knew who he was. He was someone who had played at the start of the season and had some good moments, but it was never really, this guy is a guy at the same, like, last year we had, at least barring injuries, we had certain times where you had 2 wide receivers who you felt really good about. This year, I don't know if they did, but Hayden Elegant has been playing and blossoming into a player that is really a reliable target. And, you know, I get there were certain moments in that game where maybe like he could have been better, but at the end of the day, when your quarterback's throwing 3 picks, it's on the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that is something also to take away from this one. I guess second question is kind of just like this team, it has to feel deflating. It does feel deflating. As a defense, it probably feels extremely deflating because this has been a story a lot of the year where the defense is keeping them in games and they're not able to finish. Um, Kind of just like how do you bounce? Like, what is the mindset to bounce back? Like, how do you go into a bowl game not think? It's impossible to not think about this, right? Like, as fans, if we're thinking about it, sure they're gonna brush it off and go back to practice, but you're still gonna be thinking about it. You have to think that Preston Stone will be thinking, I don't want to make 3 pick, or I don't want to throw 3 picks again. It's like, how does that happen? You think, like, what is the mindset that Braun needs to have this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's someone who's really good at speaking, it's David Braun.
true.
Especially from a journalist perspective, like hearing him. I mean, there's the bingo card of like the expectation is to win Big Ten championships, right? But I think it's really about Braun resetting his players and their mindset, especially in practice. I mean, you have to understand too the conditions of that game. Like Preston Stone played his whole career in Texas schools.
Yeah.
And when you're playing in those conditions, I mean, you saw Joe Hyman fall down and get hurt on the second play. So I think part of it is just understanding the novelty of the situation that you got put in.
Quick interjection off that
Yeah,
point.
Roughing the passer that sent
Yeah.
Altmaier flying.
We actually, I had that conversation with my roommates yesterday, and we were looking during the game. Preston Stone, unless by some weird circumstance he like had like a road trip or something in the snow in high school, or like probably not. That was the first game he played in the snow in his career, right? That makes a difference. So, but yes,
Yeah,
just to back off your
I was
point.
watching it on TV and I could barely see the Northwestern bodies sometimes because they were in all whites on the snow. But I think there's just such a novelty of the situation you put yourself in that it's about understanding the novelty of that situation, especially if you're going into a bowl game against a Southern team. You're going to a bowl game in conditions that you're more used to. I think it's about David Braun communicating to his players that this was an awful situation that they were put into, a situation that they are not necessarily used to. And especially when it comes to someone like Preston Stone, who, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't have any eligibility left after this season.
Yeah,
I believe he does not. Yeah.
Whether that's showing out for NBA prospects, but if you're ending your career on that, you really have nothing to lose playing in a bowl game. Granted, other Northwestern athletes might sit out if they're looking to transfer, but I think I think the mindset for David Braun should be let's end the season on a high note and not let everyone think of us as what happened in that game.
Well, and I think, in the current day and age of bowl games where, you have so many players opting out. And I mean, you look at Ole Miss and what's going on for not just a bowl game, but for the college
Eli
football playoff.
Manning, new coach.
But just
Don't get me
overall,
started on that.
I think the college football, postseason looks so much different than even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, maybe. And so for this Northwestern team, I think, beyond all that noise and all the, everything that's happening with NIL, transfer portal, all that, just being in a bowl game is such an accomplishment. I mean, before the beginning of the season, this is something I was talking about on the post game show yesterday on WNUR. If you had told Northwestern fans that the Cats were going to get 6 wins and make a bowl, most fans would have thought you were crazy, right? And after that Tulane game, especially, right, where Stone threw 4 picks, the sky was falling, everyone was like, "Take us down to the Little 10, all right? We can't, like we can't handle it.
West.
We can't handle it." And, getting that win on the road against Penn State obviously was huge. It's going to, probably be remembered as the best moment of the season when it's all said and done. But getting to 6 wins is so big. And I think getting a bowl game win would be big for this Northwestern teams. Maybe for other programs, they don't really care. They're like, oh, we have plenty of bowl wins, whatever, half the team is going to play. The coach might not even show up kind of thing. But for the Cats, for Northwestern, winning a bowl game in this season, I think would carry a lot of significance. And if you're Preston Stone, for example, last game, as you mentioned, Gabe, of his college career, you want to end, on a win. You want, this season, he's had sparks, but definitely nowhere near the SMU, season that he had just a couple years ago, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks, compared to 14 and 12 this year, right? So you got to imagine that they're going to go out there. They want to win. And just because for Northwestern, this is maybe not a rarity, but definitely unexpected this year, I would hope that they have motivation to go out and win whatever bowl game it is that they're playing.
Yeah. I think they will, and I know we've been talking bad about Preston Stone, but counterintuitively, I think that's why he starts for sure. I don't think there's a chance that they take him out, especially with the NIL deal that most likely brought him here. And with just Ryan Bowe, it's just not seemed ready. Like, yeah, the team really likes to use him in like wildcat packages, just have him run the ball. But they've only ever let Ryan Bowe run like 2 plays, and one of them had like a cool stiff arm touchdown. That was awesome. It was awesome. It was great. But he's clearly not ready to take the helm as a starting Big Ten quarterback in any game or a bowl game. I think I agree with you, Tomas. The momentum of winning a bowl game is so huge. I think they have to put Stone out there and just maybe suffer if he turns the ball over.
I 100% agree. I mean, I think the other thing is like David Braun and co would have played Ryan Bowe earlier on this season if they thought he was ready, because there were times at this season where Preston Stone looked bad enough where you could warrant at least trying out Bowe in like garbage time or something. But the fact that they didn't even do that in games where either they had no chance, like for example that USC game where it really felt like you could have had an opportunity to run a series with Ryan Bowe, they chose not to. And it wasn't because they had a chance in the game. It's because clearly they don't think he's ready. And that also might be something where next year we might have to look at Ryan Bowe potentially not being that guy, and they look for the transfer portal for a third straight year. Granted, what you have to hope is, you start
Johnny O'Brien
is
ready.
No, but you just have to hope that like, you had a Mike Wright, you had a Preston Stone. So like if Mike Wright is the bottom and Preston Stone, no offense to Mike Wright, like, but just, in terms of how he played, and Preston Stone's the middle, you just hope that if you get another transfer, instead
Third time's the charm, maybe.
just maybe that's the good one.
Yeah.
I don't
Jack
know.
Lausch out of eligibility now.
Because I also just think that like if Ryan Bowe's not ready, Marcus Romaine certainly will not be ready, at least not next season.
I just saw him before I came here.
Marcus Romaine's a great guy, by the way. I'm a big, because again, so it was inevitable. It was inevitable that this would come up. I'm a big Marietta, Georgia fan. But there's this whole tangent I went on. And Dansby Swanson's from there, Jaylen Brown, yada yada yada, Scoot Henderson, the Lowe brothers in baseball. Like there's a lot of people from Marietta, Georgia, including Marcus Romaine. So he has a legacy to fulfill potentially. I think the last thing we kind of just talk about bowl tie-ins, right? What bowl is this team going to plan? We won't know until next weekend when they figure out the college football playoff and they figure out what bowls Northwestern will be in. Right now, it really feels like they've played themselves out of the Pinstripe Bowl. They would have had to beat Illinois to play in that, which means that really just leaves 3 bowls, 2 with Big Ten tie-ins and 1 with just kind of no tie-ins at all. So the first one is the Rate Bowl. It used to be the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, but just like Guaranteed Rate Field, they decided to change it to just Rate. That's at Chase Field, home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's versus a Big 12 team.
I'm rooting for that one.
I agree. I think that's one where I might really like. I might be like, oh, I'd actually want to go to that. And I guess maybe some other ones too. But if you look at the Big 12 right now, that's kind of looking like you're probably going to end up playing Kansas State in that one. That would probably be the team because they're
Purple Wildcat Bowl.
They are the
Willie the Wildcat Bowl.
Funniest thing. This is totally another tangent, but I think like on an Instagram post I posted like a couple, like I don't know, like last year or something. One of my friends from home posted a GIF, and it was Kansas State's mascot instead of Willie the Wildcat.
Well,
I probably just looked up.
There you go.
Wildcat.
Willie the Wildcat.
Yeah.
Another Willie.
Is it actually Willie?
Yeah, no, it is Willie the Wildcat.
Wow.
So that okay, if that's the bowl
They're gonna
game,
have a
I
boxing
think
match at halftime.
if that's the bowl game, I think the schools should agree that the winner gets Willie the Wildcat and the loser has to change the name.
What about Abilene Christian, Sammy? They also have
They
Willie
also
the
have
Wildcat.
Really?
What? There's this also
Man,
Willie.
these teams are I feel like it's all W names, right?
Ours must have been
William the Wildcat.
Northwestern's must have been first, right?
Yes.
Like they ripped us off. Like that's not
Kansas
nice.
State. That's why we have to win. That's why they have to win.
Hey yo.
So that's the first option. The second one is the Game Above Sports Bowl, which is at Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions. That's versus the MAC. That's versus the MAC.
Oh.
And so
Yeah, wait.
some MAC attack, some MAC.
What MAC team would like that
It
line?
would be a higher echelon one.
Like
I think it'd be the best MAC team.
Would it be like is
I think it'd be
Miami up there?
I think it'd be the MAC
Miami,
champion.
Ohio's good like every
Western
year.
Michigan?
Yeah, I think it would be the MAC champion because I think this is like the
Yeah,
biggest
wait,
game for them.
It's
I mean, there are a
Western
number of
Michigan?
MAC teams in the
Western Michigan
I mean,
or
I guess-
Ohio
wait,
or
wait,
Toledo.
yeah, it could be.
Toledo's like
Western
Western
Michigan,
consistent as heck.
Ohio.
Like,
I don't know
years
who's in the
really good.
who is confirmed in the MAC championship. Because
Western
also
Michigan
It would be
7-1.
Western Michigan for sure, and then I
Ohio
don't know
probably,
who has the
right?
Either
tiebreaker between the
Ohio,
6 and
Miami,
2
Ohio, or Toledo.
let's look this up. College football championship.
MAC
I mean,
championship.
yeah, that's
It'll be Miami, Ohio,
that's
Western
like the
Michigan.
maybe the most winnable
Miami
one
of Ohio
out of all
versus
these. I mean, it's the only one not.
I would
against
actually
Ohio.
Miami, Ohio, Northwestern run back game number 1 from last year.
Interestingly, in that game, 3-3 at halftime. Also,
That was a
ridiculously
good.
bad.
That's how football's meant to be
That
played.
is, yeah. Well,
It is.
I was there. It was very sad. Like, it reminds me of like last year. I also went to Thursday Night Football where it was Bears Seahawks.
Oh my
6-3.
goodness.
Which is also one of
Oh,
the worst
no.
games I've ever seen.
Game.
We've come a long way.
But anyway,
We've come
interesting
a
thing
long
about the MAC. All of the Power 4 teams and I guess the Pac-12, whenever they exist again, play at like an NFL stadium for their conference championship. So does the MAC. They're the only Group of 5 team to do that. The other 4 Group of 5
What stadium
conferences
are they
at Ford Field.
So their conference is at Ford Field as well.
Yes. And so all the other conferences, they have the best team in the conference hosts a home game for their conference championship. I think that should change. Honestly, I think it should be
Neutral site.
It should be neutral
Neutral
site.
site.
But whatever. So that's the Game of All Sports Bowl, and so that'll be intriguing one. The last one that I've seen Northwestern kind of put towards is the First Responders Bowl, which is ironically at SMU's stadium in Texas.
Now that would be awesome.
So
might have a home field advantage finally.
And so that's another one I've seen Northwestern.
All the Preston Stone fans can.
And so I don't even know. I don't think there is. I don't think there is like a bowl tie-in for this one. Like I don't think any conference has a tie-in. So I think it would just be the extra team. What Northwestern is fighting with here, ironically, is Penn State because they just beat Rutgers to secure bowl eligibility. Whoever won that game last week, it was 40-36, would have won bowl eligibility. Penn State barely got it out, which means that
we have the head-to-head.
So I don't know what that means.
Right,
The question
I don't know
is
what
the
that
Game of Sports Bowl, the Rape Bowl, or one of those two more important? Or is it not about head-to-head at all? Because at the end of the day, these are invite bowls, right? So it could also just be they like Penn State because Penn State will bring in more money.
Right. Which it will.
The Cats played in the First Responders Bowl in 2011 and lost to Texas Tech 45-38. And actually, Texas teams have often played in the First Responders Bowl because it was
that makes sense.
Texas teams in 2025, 2023 were both Texas. And then if you look back further as well, like UTSA has played in this, North Texas. North Texas.
And the other thing you kind of look at, right, is, and this is something where I'm sure James Madison is very upset with, is that, and not that I'm mad about it, but just Missouri State and Delaware, first-year teams in this level of college football, both they weren't supposed to be able to qualify for a bowl game, but essentially what happened is not enough teams that weren't Delaware and Missouri State made a bowl game, which therefore means that because they're 7-5 and
they needed teams.
They needed teams, so they made it. And so that's something where that JMU team that was bowl eligible and like I think almost won their conference.
Weren't they like 12 and
they weren't allowed to go to their conference championship despite having the best record.
Well,
and
Coach Sig has proved the haters quite wrong.
Yes, and so that's a whole interesting thing. But I think that could also be the type of team that Northwestern ends up playing if they don't play one of those two bowls that we mentioned before. So I think it's interesting. There's storylines in everyone. Like Preston Stone's return to SMU, return to Dallas, or the Wildcat versus Wildcat, or just Maction is always. It's always a storyline. It's always fun.
Just to clear the air on the Wildcats. So the original Kansas State mascot was Sparky. Okay, in 1947. So it wasn't even Willie. All right, up until 1964. Meanwhile, Willie the Wildcat, first image 1933. Okay, and then he came to life in 1947.
Northwestern's Willie the Wildcat.
So Northwestern's Willie the Wildcat.
Yes.
Northwestern's Willie the Wildcat. First image 33. First costume 1947. So 1947 to 1964. That's 17 years.
Abilene Christian adopted their Wildcat mascot in 1919.
No.
It's called Willie.
Wait, the name Willie was given later as the first official mascot costume was purchased in 1979.
All right, so that means so with women's basketball winning this week, they stripped Abilene Christian of the Willie the Wildcat.
We are right. So Abilene Christian has to take. So if we get matched up against Kansas State in a bowl game, then we have the chance to make ourselves the rightful Willie the Wildcat.
Willie the Wildcat.
Willie the Wildcat. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
17 years earlier.
I think they could definitely do a lot with it. I'm sure they would do it on TV. I think the Rape Bowl is both the best venue, in my opinion. I think playing at Chase Field would be really cool. I also think that it would also be the one that would flex them into the best TV spot because playing against the Big 12 will automatically be better for them than playing a MAC team, which would probably be on like.
I think the team would also probably prefer going to Phoenix than
Detroit.
Detroit.
If you want to see a Chase Farrell legacy game, where else are we going to see it than Chase Farrell?
To the ballers.
Okay.
It is the top of the hour, so we do have to remind you that you're listening to WNUR Sports 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago, your home for Northwestern Athletics.
Wow, that's a good station. Station identification. Sammy, I don't know if this is something you have to do, but we are required at every hour to say that.
Yeah.
And we have
Gotta
one
plead the fifth on whether we did. Well,
um,
we were never told we had
yeah,
to.
it might have been-
I
it probably
will
wasn't a
say that
requirement.
much. Was
The
never
FCC
told.
is only suing one of us at this table.
Yeah,
It's not me.
Oh yeah, I'm pleading the fifth, but I was never told anything. That's all I'm saying.
And so yeah, I think the other thing that I'm kind of interested in is like the sponsors for these bowl games. So Rate Field, obviously, or Rate Bowl.
Right.
That's what does Rate do?
What does Raid do?
What does Rate?
It's
I
like a
assume
bank.
something to do with
It
rates.
used to be
Something
called guaranteed
something
rates.
lower
Now it's
rates?
not guaranteed
Mortgage
anymore. It's just
something?
some sort of rate.
Mortgage
See, when you go to the website, it still says guaranteed rate.
Yeah, residential
Well, because it is still guaranteed rate.
Yeah,
I think.
it's
I think they're
mortgage.
just
Mortgage.
they're doing business as Rate, but they're
It's mortgage.
Okay, so mortgage company.
takes on the guaranteed
Game
rate website.
Game Above.
Gabe gets a mortgage.
Game
line
Above.
right
I'm not
there.
even sure what they do. It's a brand.
the sports
Game
blog.
Above Sports is a brand deeply committed to philanthropy, focused on inspiring greatness through sports, entertainment, and youth. I honestly have no idea what Game Above Sports does.
Like,
Wait, hold on.
And then Serve Pro is water damage. We got a live flick.
live photo shoots. No. It's just, I think it's just a great moment that we all have this website up on the sports block here. It's great.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true.
it's awesome.
Game Above Sports. I have no idea. They're a philanthropy company that's owned by like
It's
a hedge
just-
fund or something.
It's
Oh,
just it's
there
just
we go.
fog on their website.
It says "Bring forth
It's
greatness."
just-
Bring forth greatness. In tiny text. In tiny text.
I will say, Sammy and I were famously asked about guaranteed rate in class a few weeks back. When,
you know what? I think we were. Yeah, you're right.
in sports marketing, our
Yeah,
professor, shout out Candy Lee, was like, how many of you guys heard of guaranteed rate before they took over the White Sox field? Not one hand
No
was
one.
up in that.
Ironically,
Stadium deals.
they also have
Exactly.
a giant billboard on top of a rooftop outside of Wrigley. So they're
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So they are there. The one thing I've always wondered is if they're like a mortgage company, right? And it's like, their logo is an arrow pointing down, which I've always found quite accurate for the White Sox. Because maybe not.
You like sound
Anyway,
effects.
some other things happened too, but I think it might be time to just get into our deep dive, unless we have any real thought. I mean, basketball, main thing.
Oh boy.
Lost to Oklahoma State in men's, women's. As I think Gabe and Michaela would be more equipped to tell us about women's basketball, but they went one and one, beat Abilene Christian, as we've talked about in depth at this point, and lost to Missouri in his final score that really probably wasn't
that long.
No, it was a very close game into the last 5 minutes.
It was a tough game to watch in the last minutes for Missouri versus Northwestern. We were just talking with Gabe about how like the change from these two games. In the first one, we were kind of on our tip of our toes like most of the time, but in the end, like Northwestern just did what they needed to do. But in this case, like we saw how the problem was coming in set by set. Like each quarter, we saw how Missouri kept winning, and it was just kind of a terrific result to see at the end. So yeah.
Grace Sullivan legacy game though.
Oh yeah.
Do we think Grace Sullivan has a chance of going in the WNBA draft when all is said and done?
I mean, there's a lot of
Because
there's a lot of rounds. There's a lot of rounds.
31 and
I would say that Sullivan and Taylor Thomas were the highlights of the two games. They were absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I think my thing with Thomas too is that Thomas is a sophomore still, so like she has 2 more years to really build up that like WNBA draft pedigree, and I mean she's top 10 in the nation in rebounds right now. Like she could very much get there by her senior year. But yeah, 36 picks in the WNBA draft. I would not be surprised if, or even as like a undrafted free agent, if we see some sort of Grace Sullivan WNBA appearance.
She's averaging like 23 and 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, she had 20 and 10 against Abilene Christian. It was like low-key not one of her best games.
Right,
Like she was
no,
missing
not
a
at
lot
all.
of shots that she usually makes. She really wasn't getting them to fall. And when your down day is 20 and 10 against a team in Abilene Christian that's projected to win the WAC, that has a top 10 forced turnover percentage in the country. Yeah, Abilene Christian is genuinely one of the best mid-major defenses I've seen in women's college basketball, and Sullivan played excellently around them in a game where Northwestern only scored 61, I want to say.
Well, and the jump is crazy. She went from 10 and 4 last year to 23 and 10.
Yeah, I mean, it is like it's a jump that Coach McEwen kind of talked about preseason, but really just like to this extent is crazy. I mean, it's like you alluded to, like when you have someone whose bad games are still good, and still at that level, it really shows a lot. I think she's been a leader. Like, she's only gotten better in the absence of Taylor Williams, the absence of Kaylee Walsh, and really just is, also someone that McEwen may never stop talking about if she goes into the draft, just like he admits he does never stop talking about Veronica Burton, Lindsey Pulliam.
You know what I would like to. So we have a floating segment. I put on the rundown. It was labeled as super secret floating segment. I think that's a good segue because you just mentioned Joe McEwen, and Joe McEwen notably is an Eagles fan. And he loves to talk about it.
Oh, I have stories.
And so I have many stories as well. And so I think that's a good segue because the super secret floating segment is all about the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
Most of the Bears
are the best team in the NFC because
That's true.
the Panthers beat
the facts. The facts say.
Many are saying this.
Many people are saying this. I think it's just also the truth.
Yeah,
the truth.
it is.
It's the truth. I mean, ever since they started the season 0-2, and they have just bounced back in a way that I don't think any of us saw coming. I don't think. I mean, when I'm saying to be fair, I'm saying us as everyone, but specifically, I guess Sammy, myself, and Tomas, since we're all Bears fans.
We've been through a lot.
We have been through a lot, so I think we earned a little bit of goodness. I guess just kind of like thoughts, like what?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's majestic. Like, I don't know how.
That's a Ty Berry. That's a Ty Berry word. Like he's described Northwestern last year as being ethereal.
It's incredible. Like, so I didn't really catch the Bears 2010 run. I didn't really start following the Bears until 2013, which is when I moved back after living in
Mark Trestman era.
So it was Jay Cutler still. And I remember the Bears that season. It was the first season of NFL that I ever watched. I was 7, 8 years old.
It was 2010.
2013.
Oh, 2013.
I missed 2010. Yeah. So 2013, I remember the Bears played the Packers at Soldier Field during the last game of the season, and the winner was winning the NFC North, and the loser was out of the playoffs because it was like they were both like 8-8 kind of territory, right? And I remember on the last play of the game, the Bears are down. It's a one play game, and Jay Cutler, he just throws like a rainbow across the gridiron, and it to no one, right? Like seemingly to no one. And from then on, it's just been cursed. It's just been so cursed. I mean, yes,
I think it might have been cursed for longer than that, Tomas.
And at least my experience as a fan. And you had that one year, right? The one time. And
What a year!
And
What a year!
It was a great time with Mitch Trubisky, and it just ended in
the MVP.
It ended in such tragedy. I remember at this point I had moved back to Lima, so I'm in my kitchen with my dad. In Lima, Peru, and we're probably the only people in a wide range watching this game.
That's awesome.
And we're watching this game, and the Bears, I remember, I'm like, we're like losing it. My dad, he's Peruvian, but he lived in Chicago for a long time.
Which game is this?
This is Bears, Eagles, NFC wildcard. And, we were like, we could feel the energy, right? 4,000 miles away, but we're feeling the energy from Soldier Field. We're like, it's going to happen. We're going to do it. The Bears are so back. And my dad, he yelped. He couldn't believe it. He, hands on his head, right? Just devastation.
I like how you didn't even mention, like, we all know we were talking about. You didn't. It's like a Voldemort. You can't even say the name. You can't say what happened.
They love to talk about it in the broadcast.
They love.
Oh my God! They need to stop.
And Collinsworth wasn't even there because it's on Amazon Prime.
Don't even get me started.
It was Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels.
Oh my!
And all they talk about. I mean, they even they were like, the Bears are winning, but we still have to play this package that we made.
No, you still.
It's just a package all about that. It was just to show that. And just for Al Michaels to be like, wow, what a genius Chris Collinsworth is for dubbing it.
But it was January 6th, 2019, and we all know what happened. We all know what happened. Anyways, fast forward to 2025. As you mentioned, Pierson, Bears are 9-3, first seed, the 1 seed in the NFC. Thanks to the Panthers.
Shout out Panthers.
Shout out Panthers. The Panthers
are our friends.
Yeah.
They're our friends.
We have an alliance.
They got us, Caleb. We got them, Bryce Young, right? And I can use we with the Bears. Yeah. I can't use it with Northwestern, but I'm allowed to use it with the Bears. Bears are we.
They are.
Making friends across the animal kingdom.
I mean, Bears-Eagles alliance, it was very fruitful. It was very fruitful. It aided the Bears in their division lead right now. It also aided, the biggest thing, right, is can they go beat the Packers? And the thing there, you mentioned 2010, Tomas. That was the year where that was the only year Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl.
This is true.
And on the last game of the season, the Bears had a chance to eliminate. I've talked about this on the show before. Calvin knows this, but the Bears had a chance to eliminate the Packers in 2010 in the final game of the season, where the Packers wouldn't even have made the playoffs. It would have been done, and they wouldn't have won their championship. Final game of the season at Lambeau, they rest the entire team. Lovey just says, "No, we don't want to play anyone." They lost 10-3, which means the Packers weren't really destined to win that game. It was just they were playing their second stringers against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. The Packers would go on into the NFC Championship game at Soldier Field and beat the Bears minus Jay Cutler since he hurt his hand or whatever. Allegedly.
That's what they say.
That is what they say. Essentially the Bears are the only reason why Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl. And just in 2013, the Bears are the only reason why Aaron Rodgers. And to be fair, I can admit Aaron Rodgers does own the Bears. And I was very sad not to let them play against him in the Steelers game, which I'm fine. I'm fine that they won.
Yeah.
But it was a little sad. But either way, I think getting revenge against the Eagles, especially because, no offense, I appreciate the passion that Philadelphia sports fans have, but it is so incredibly toxic both online and even at Northwestern. Like my friends at Northwestern who are Eagles fans, every week last year when the Bears were losing, they weren't talking about the Eagles being Super Bowl contenders and winning the Super Bowl. The first thing they said when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and I was rooting for the Eagles, right? And not because I didn't want the Chiefs to win. They were like, the Eagles won, that means the Bears did it. We're not even their biggest rival. It's just to make fun.
What happened to the Cowboys, man? What happened to the Cowboys?
Well, the Cowboys clearly, Matt Eberflus is having a great time at defense right now.
That's true.
Somehow.
Very true.
He stopped Mahomes. He stopped Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts well. But, I mean, I don't know. All roads lead to something. There's talk also that, ironically, that Matt Nagy is the front runner for the Giants job right now, according to multiple gambling websites. Not that I gamble, but
of course.
I think that's also very interesting. Like it's all like full circle. Everything's coming back. Everything's
coming
back. But it does feel really good to be a Bears fan right now.
Surreal.
But if they lose to the Packers, all of that goes out the
Yep.
window. I mean, it all goes out the window.
all the good feelings.
That's the thing, right? It's like the Bears have, gone 9-1 in their last 10, beat the Eagles, current Super Bowl champions in Philadelphia, but now going to Lambeau on Sunday, right, into the belly of the beast. If the Bears can't, show up against Green Bay, it doesn't matter because Green Bay is
then
literally
they're in first game.
Right?
I mean, to be fair, the Bears beat the Cowboys. All the Packers could do is tie. And I personally think that Jordan Love is a fraud, and I think that I honestly think that Malik Willis would be a better quarterback for them.
It is Toyota-thon, though.
In my opinion. I know this is a take that I've had for a while. I just personally think that Malik Willis would bring them more success, and I'm not even joking. Like I genuinely think that I would rather face Jordan Love than Malik Willis, and I know that it's crazy. And this is gonna come back to bite me next week when they inevitably lose, and I have to go talk about it on the show. But hopefully they don't.
I think this upcoming Sunday is one of the biggest regular season Bears games, like maybe the biggest regular season Bears game since I've been a fan.
Yeah, that I can recall. Yeah,
I can't it. At Lambeau, you're number one in the NFC North. Like, beginning of a new era with Ben Johnson. Like, the stage could not be brighter. And, what I want to start seeing, and, this is not to rip on Caleb because Caleb has overall done a good job. But I think what's exciting about the Bears is that Caleb
he's not even there yet.
He's not even close to there yet. We've seen the flashes. The Bengals game, he had those moments, and what was the one game he was the Cowboys game?
He was
really good in the Cowboys game. But overall, we have not seen the Caleb Williams that has been promised to us through the years.
Through the 2 years.
The 2 years.
Jaden Daniels, in other words, is still a better QB.
Oh wait, but I think you need to be on the field in order to qualify.
And that is true. That is very true.
Better QB.
But that's the scary thing about this team, and I think it could even be accomplished within the next 5 games that we have this season, is seeing Caleb Williams take that step and put consistent performances together. That would be huge. And because I feel like at this point with this Bears team, you can count on the O-line to dominate teams up front. That's what they did against the Eagles. The run game has been fantastic, and it all starts with the O-line. Ben Johnson is scheming up like a mastermind, and I think we can count on this defense to get takeaways. They're just scrappy. I mean, the Nahshon Wright forced fumble on the tush push, that is awesome stuff. So we can count on the defense to be gritty. We can count on the O-line in the run game. But if Caleb Williams can start stepping it up and being consistent these next 5 weeks, like, that's the scary thing. They're the number one team in the NFC right now. They've won some games they shouldn't have won, but that's what you have to do. They are at that point, and they haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah,
that it's a scary place for the rest of the
but
conference.
It's also
they have to
scary.
deliver.
I think the scary part for me, and as thank you so much, by the way, Michaela has to go, but
Bye.
it was really
Bye.
fun. I think the scary thing for me is like, and I'm always more pessimistic than optimistic, just because I've just been let down so much. But I'm really just like, well, what if he doesn't? Like, what happens if the next 5 games he just doesn't get there? And then what does that put that team in
I
terms
think
of the
they've proven
playoffs?
that they can be fine with, like,
No,
they
but
don't need
I'm
him to
saying,
be the
what
guy.
if it becomes a detriment? Is all I'm saying,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm not sure about. And I'm not trying to, again,
Which
I'm not
it
trying to
could
rip on, which I'm not trying to rip on Caleb.
No.
At the end of the day, I think the biggest thing I take away from these weeks is, like, last year when the Bears won the final game of the season against the Packers on a Cairo Santos walk-off field goal, what people do not realize, what the Gabes and the Calvins do not realize.
I watch like maybe 4 NFL games a year.
Yeah, I get that. But my point here is that the Bears had not beaten the Packers since 2018.
Yeah.
I was in 7th grade. They hadn't won since I was in 7th grade against the Packers until the end of my freshman year of college. That's 7th, 8th, and then all 4 years of high school, and that's 7 years. It's a long time to beat your biggest rival. And so, I mean, that's just how much it means.
And like last year, like, it felt good. Don't get me wrong, but it was the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Didn't
good to
mean
lose
anything for anyone in a real sense. This is a massive game. Like, this is last year, right? We beat them, but now it's like, let's beat them when it not
Really
just
matters, when it matters.
It doesn't just matter, but like, this is to go number 1 in the NFC. The winner of this game will go into that slot.
Assuming,
Bears can stay there.
I guess
I
don't know what the Rams
the
tiebreaker
depending
is.
on the Rams, but like, go into the top spot in the division and go near the top spot in the NFC as a whole. I know I said this, I sound like a broken record, but like, this is the biggest Bears game in the regular season of, I think, all of our lifetimes. And I hope they can deliver, and I hope they bring the same energy they brought into Philadelphia, into Green Bay next week. Because if they do, I think I hope to hear the same boos that those Eagles fans were ringing down on the Eagles. I hope we hear those same boos from the Packers faithful on Jordan Love and company.
Well, and Sammy, you talk about this being, the biggest Bears regular season game in certainly our, lifetimes as fans, because there was the 2006 Super Bowl, but we don't remember.
Yes.
And also regular season game. But I digress. It feels like it's scripted almost. Like, you have Bears Packers at Lambeau, and like the Packers are breathing down the Bears' necks, right? Like, the Bears are 9-3, the Packers are 8-3-1. Not even a game behind.
And also
half a
consider
game
right
behind.
now the Packers are 6th in the playoff picture. The Bears are 1st, which means whoever loses that game moves
Drop it
to
down.
6 or 7.
'Cause
And
the
that was
NFC is-
unintentional. I swear to God. That was unintentional, but they moved to 6th or
Yeah.
7th. Like, the Lions
Right.
right now, a team who has been a contender, quote unquote, for the last 2 or 3 years. They're out right now. They're not in the playoffs because that, for some reason, everyone said that the NFC was wide open, but ironically, the NFC is much better than people thought.
Oh, the NFC.
Like, every single team
stacked.
in the playoffs right now, besides the Buccaneers and the Packers, have 9 wins, right? And so you end up with a situation where it's just like, the divisions matter, but it's also like, if you don't win the division, right now you have the Bears at 9 wins, right? Or the Packers at 9 wins, or
Right.
the Lions at 9 wins, or right now the 49ers, who actually are at 9 wins, and despite Mac Jones and despite Brock Purdy performing okay, are still looking like a team that will be a problem in the playoffs. And so
Seahawks too.
the Seahawks, I
Lions.
mean,
Yeah.
JSN is the best wide receiver in the league.
And that's
in
what
my opinion.
amplifies this game, because if you're the Bears, yes, you're 9-3, and yes, you're now number 1 in the NFC. I mean, huge deal, but like, you are by no means guaranteed or even
To be in the
favored
playoffs.
to be at the top of the division, in the playoffs in general. So like, it's not one of those situations where you can coast. Not that you can ever coast, but sometimes, you see a team at the top of the conference, you're like the Chiefs in some of these recent years, right? You feel like they can coast.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable,
Yeah.
but like, there's no inevitability for this
No.
Bears team. They have to earn absolutely, they've earned everything they've gotten so far, and they have to earn everything they're going to get from here on out. And it means a ton. I mean, and I mean, the storyline, like you were saying,
It's so psychological.
it's I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, like, what are the odds? I mean, in this crucial stage of the season, they're in Green Bay. Both quarterbacks are healthy, right? Like, huge game. Huge game.
Yeah,
So I'm excited. I'm nervous.
I'm very excited.
My parents are actually going to be in town this weekend because we're going to be. They're driving up and then we're driving back. I'm from Maryland, so we will be watching together. And so like I'm excited because I get to watch with my dad, which is like obviously, I mean, and just watching Bears games with him. That's how like. Until college, really, like all the Bears games have been experienced.
I was really happy to watch the Bears game with my dad with the Eagles game because it's just like he was like,
me too.
yeah, man, like I haven't been able to watch games with you since you've been in college.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a little bit sad. It makes me a little bit sad. I guess the other note before we move on, because I think we've been letting Gabe sit here and it's a deep dive. Something very important.
I don't want to talk about the NFL with how the Colts are doing anyway.
Yeah. I would be remiss not to bring up that last year when Sammy and I were on the show with Calvin in a certain show. I mean, I've brought this up before, but there was a certain show where after the Hail Mary game last year, where Jonah, Sammy, and I were in Bears jerseys because literally it happened right before the show. Calvin came in, all smiley with his Commander's jersey. Claire was just sitting there, just like not realizing, just like how sad. Like, it literally was right after. Like, I think that episode.
One of the 4 NFL games I watched last year.
It was just I cannot describe how sad I was in that moment, and just how happy Calvin was, and it made me so mad because I was just like, "There's no way." And obviously, like after that, like it is what it is. What I will note though is that right now, the Commanders set off a streak where the Bears lost 10 in a row after losing to the Commanders in that game. It completely tanked a season that they started 4-2. Right now, the Commanders are on a 6-game losing streak after losing to the Bears. Really? Although they are playing pretty well.
They're driving. Terry just had a catch.
They're driving at the Broncos, and Terry is healthy again. But I think that the real thing here is just like it is a little poetic that the flip flop of these seasons. And I think at this point it's like I'm even with Calvin at this point.
And poetic also because it's the number 1 and 2 picks in that draft, and I think. When everything evens out, I think last year was the Commanders. This year looks like the Bears at this point. There are 5 games to be played. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, what we do know is it's just not the Commanders here. And that partially is that just because of Jaden Daniels' injury situation, which of course is very unfortunate. And I think, regardless of draft ranking, I think the league is in a better place when Jaden Daniels is healthy. So.
Yes. And I do think that when he's healthy and the Commanders have they have an old roster. They have some things they have to sort out. But, those are 2 teams that, with those 2 quarterbacks, I think will be battling it out. I do think it's a fun rivalry for me, especially being from the DMV area.
It's similar for me because my dad grew up as a Redskins
Right,
fan.
we have both have DMV ties.
Yeah. Caleb Williams is a DMV legend.
Yeah, Gonzaga College High School, yeah. So,
I can't say Jaden Daniels is
Yes, that's true.
But he tried. He tried.
But regardless, right? I think that's a very fun rivalry. That 2 nail-biting games the past 2 years that have set the winners of those 2 games on trajectories and the losers of those 2 games on trajectories for their respective seasons. And then personally for me with those ties, it's outside of the Packers and the Lions and the Vikings, I think the Commanders are the games on my calendar that I circle.
I agree.
At least this year, I know I circled.
No,
I
think I said on the show before the season, the whatever our episode was as the season was starting, I was literally like the 2 games I want to win are the Commanders and the Packers. We could lose out to the
number
Lions
1
and the Vikings.
Number 2 coming up.
So I don't know, but I think hopefully the script writers are cooking up something in the next couple of years where Jaden and Caleb in the NFC Championship game going to beat either Bo Nix or or Drake May or something like
which
that.
Could very well happen
While JJ McCarthy watches out.
9.
Sorry. Either way, we've talked about NFL enough. That was the floating segment was said, and it was all triggered by Joe McEwen. I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk to him about the game. I don't know how happy he would be to talk to me.
I asked him how he was doing after it, and he threatened to make me walk back to Chicago, so I wouldn't ask him about it.
I will be on the call on Wednesday for WNUR. I will not mention the Bears-Eagles game if I do get the chance to speak with Joe. I'll say that.
Either way, though, I think there's been enough time. Calvin's been locked in on the Broncos-Commanders game, which they just scored. They just
Chris
took.
Rodriguez.
What's the score, Calvin?
6-7.
Wow.
The Commanders are winning.
Imagine that.
They are
I
winning.
thought about it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Either way, it is. We are long
That's
overdue
my
for
least
deep
favorite
dives.
brain rot.
It's bad.
in
I need to stop.
Obscure ballers thing that I think
Joe,
Tomas can take us into before handing it off to Gabe.
Absolutely. Okay, so one of our really, I would say the hallmark of Obscure Ballers, the segment, is the deep dive. So the deep dive is essentially your opportunity to go into any kind of topic that it's been weighing you down, you've been thinking about it, or maybe it's just, a nice childhood memory, literally anything at all, that your heart desires. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and kick it over to Gabe, who has a very fun deep dive to us with some connections to Chicago and Czechia.
Yes. Chicago Cubs fans in the room. Who remembers Eric Sogard?
The 50th ever player to wear number 4 for the Cubs.
Pete Crow Armstrong, 51st?
No, I looked it up. He actually isn't. I forgot about Nelson Velasquez.
Oh my God! I thought he was gonna be a dog.
Who was traded for Jose Cuas, who was a UPS driver turned baseball. All these things happen all because of
Jose Cuas, Gaithersburg Giants legend.
Wow!
Yes, Gaithersburg Giants legend. He played shortstop for the Giants in 2017. It was a sidearm reliever.
Look at what.
Anyways, for those unfamiliar, which are probably most of you, the Gaithersburg Giants are a Cal Ripken Senior Collegiate Baseball League team, which is a league that Calvin and I have both worked in. I worked for the Giants the 2 years before Calvin worked for the Bethesda Big Train. So, Jose Cuas, Gaithersburg Giants legend, back to you.
Wow.
I mean, I get the collegiate baseball right. Believe you me, I bring up some Holyoke Blue Sox legends whenever I get the chance.
God. There's other fours too. Ildemaro Vargas, Cubs,
Trey Mancini,
Cubs,
anyone?
Cubs
Trey
and
Mancini.
Nationals
Trey Mancini,
legend.
Holyoke Blue Sox legend.
Orioles legend, yeah.
I think also Alexander Canario is another one. So the guys I forgot about.
A few number 4s.
But PCA is the next relevant number 4. I feel like.
Yeah.
After
sure.
Eric Sogard.
Anyways, Eric Sogard,
PCA.
So Eric Sogard, raise your hand if you expected Eric Sogard to lead a team to international victory.
Of course,
many. So the Czech Republic national baseball team is one of my favorite things. One of my very favorite things. So the Czech Republic qualified for the World Baseball Classic that took place in 2023, and as Tomas and I have discussed extensively on Obscure Ballers, relegation is one of the greatest things in sports.
It's so wonderful. So wonderful.
So the Czech Republic national baseball team avoided relegation in the last World Baseball Classic by beating a team full of Chinese professionals. They did lose some people that decided to play for Taiwan/Chinese Taipei. But I digress. The team was led by Eric Sogard. And let me run you through some of these rosters. When people say that Bill Russell played against plumbers, that's somewhat true, right? But when they say when they say that Roki Sasaki went 3 2/3 innings and gave up 1 run in the World Baseball Classic, you want to know who he was pitching against? Martin Cervenka, a sales representative. Daniel Vavrusa, a baseball equipment importer. Peter Zyma, who played college baseball at Creighton and works as an account manager at X-Trade Brokers.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Martin Schneider, a firefighter who has to miss 1 out of every 3 games in the Czech Extraliga due to 24-hour shifts as a firefighter. Philip Smola, an auditor. Jakob, I think it is, Kubika, a sales manager. These are a lot of them are college students. Arnost Dubovi, high school geography teacher.
Oh, that's tough. Banger. That is tough.
Lucas Ergoli is their pitcher, and he's also their communications official.
Oh.
Y'all imagine if some of the Northwestern communications folks played for the teams.
Yo, I low-key start sometimes.
Jacob Pavelak, wide receiver.
Eric Sogard was like a goat on that team.
Yeah, he was like
Andre Satoria, electrician. David Mergens, magazine moderator. Journalism, anyone? Marek Minarki works in real estate. David Winkler, a woodworker. Pavel Chadim, their manager, is a neurologist. And I say all this.
He knows about.
I say all this to mean it's an ESPN article that I'm reading off of. I say all this to mean that this is truly a band of incredible, just people that play for fun in Czech. Like these are like men's leagues.
And Eric Sogard.
And Eric Sogard. No, there's some professionals too. Like the guy who scored on the air against Japan when Roki Sasaki was on the mound. Played D2 baseball at Greenville North, and then I think he also played in the NPB. Marek Schlupp, which is maybe my favorite last name on this list. But it's like quite literally him, Eric Sogard, and a bunch of guys who got like occasional time at the college or minor league level. But yeah, Eric Sogard is really the star of this team. Eric Sogard got the eligibility because he played in a Czech team after he finished his time in the majors.
Oh wait, so he's not Czech.
No, he's not Czech.
What's his connection?
That's so crazy.
He played. So okay,
That's so crazy.
the whole thing is that
what ethnicity is he? I just assumed he was Czech because he was playing for the Czech.
The best part is so to be able to play for a team, you need to be able to be eligible for citizenship in that country. So that's why Aroldis Chapman is supposedly playing for Great Britain over the U.S. The rumors that Aroldis Chapman is going to play for Great Britain because I think his grandmother was like Jamaican under British rule.
Right.
So he's eligible for British citizenship and he can play. Eric Sogard, I believe, was eligible for citizenship because he was born in Phoenix. He's eligible for citizenship because he played in a Czech league for long enough to have permanent residence in the Czech Republic. Otherwise,
it's so fun that he was just like
a natural.
Hey, you know what? Why not? I'll lead the Czechia baseball team to victory.
Okay, so like his, I believe, cousin Nick Sogard plays for the Red Sox too, so he won't be eligible for the Czech Republic team because he's too busy being like a defensive juggernaut because David Hamilton can't hit. But I digress. Nick Sogard, nice guy. But yeah, so I'm so excited.
Acquire citizenship in February 2022.
Yes, he's a citizen,
a naturalized citizen.
Naturalized citizen of the Czech Republic. So this is like one of my favorite parts about the World Baseball Classic is you just see these random connections. And they won a game. So the Czech Republic team will be back in 2026. I can assure you I will be watching. Because it's coming up very soon now. Yeah. It's going to be in spring, around the time of spring training.
It's awesome.
It's exciting.
And I quite literally watched like all the Czech Republic games rooting for them. Like, okay, the U.S. is good and all.
Join you, yeah.
But like, come on, guys. Like, I watch Mike Trout play enough every year. Not anymore since he's been injured.
I was devastated that Rafael Ortega did not make the cut for the Venezuelan team.
No.
I was so sad, and I was like, this is a travesty.
Wow.
And so therefore...
What have they done to the game I love?
I mean, I don't know. I always loved watching the Netherlands, too. Vladimir Balentien, the
Netherlands have some
all-time greatest Japanese home run.
All like the Dutch islands.
Yeah, like
Curacao.
Aruba, too. Like Xander Bogaerts is on that team, I think.
I think Xander Bogaerts is Curacao.
No, he's Aruban.
Is he Aruban?
Pierson Trust, the Red Sox fan. He's from Aruba. He was the first ever player from Aruba. They made a statue of him there.
I believe it. I think I've been to Aruba. I should have gone there. Maybe I should have gone to I should have got a Xander Bogaerts statue. Oh wait, I gotta look this up.
Didi Gregorius.
Oh my god.
Statue.
Oh man, he sucked for the Yankees. I loved watching him play.
Yeah, oh my god.
I loved watching him strike out. Anyway, yeah, the Czech Republic team, they like made it close with Japan, and by that I mean they lost. I think he was born there, but he grew up in Curacao.
Let's see. Yeah, you might be right.
And by made it close with Japan, I mean Czechia lost 10-2.
That's
but
close.
they scored off of Roki Sasaki, who's now a World Series hero.
Yeah.
I think. But they beat China.
The funniest part about that tournament for me is Japan ended up winning. And the funniest part for me was that it was right after like Seiya Suzuki was a Cub, and he they like held like he got like injured or something right before, so he's still on the roster, so he got a medal and stuff. But they held up like his jersey on a hanger and just put a medal over it, so it's like he died, and they're all holding up his jersey like, "Oh, Suzuki, no!" And it was just really funny for me because I was just like, "That is my guy. He won a World Baseball Classic as a hanger," and so we'll take it. We'll take it for sure.
Put it up on the wall, frame it.
Exactly. I mean, I guess he did. He got the medal. So
no, like the World Baseball Classic. Like as someone who didn't really grow up with baseball, I remember when the 2023 one was happening, and I was like, "There's a baseball World Cup," and then I just went down a rabbit hole of like, what is this? Because it's not a single host country. That's what gets me. Like the 2026 World Baseball Classic will be played in the United States, Puerto Rico, and Japan. Right.
Yeah. So they switch locations.
Yeah. So they go like. 10,000 miles to for the next round, which just blows my mind. And you've had Taiwan and the US, hosted in the same year. Mexico's hosted it, Canada, right? South Korea. So that part kind of blows my mind because usually, for the World Cup, if it is going to be multiple countries, they're right next to each other.
Well, listen, isn't the next one though? Isn't the next World Cup going to be in Spain, Morocco, Portugal, and Uruguay? Paraguay, and
It's a special because it's the 100 years, the centennial. So they're going to have the first game in Uruguay, and then they're going to have a game.
They copied the World Baseball Classic.
All for Luis Suarez.
And they're going to have a game in Argentina and Paraguay, which I won't go down that tangent right now, but very upsetting. And then they're going to then switch it over to Portugal, Spain, and Morocco, which they are next.
Tomas, are you going to be in Paraguay for the game? If you can you say hi to the Rutherford B. Hayes statue for me?
Rutherford B. Hayes mentioned Rutherford. Paraguay would not exist if it wasn't for Rutherford B. Hayes. Anyways,
yes. He was an athlete at heart. We've talked about this before.
We have talked about this on Obscure Baller. But
I am not hip to this, but I'm gonna need to I have some questions.
Go back in the archive.
But as a Peruvian fan, CONMEBOL is just low key a circus for that one. I don't understand why they're doing that. Well, I understand why they're doing that, but it's bad for the game in my opinion. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. World Baseball Classic, very cool. I think it's awesome. I think more sports should have a big World Cup like soccer.
And it might expand too, because there's the other thing about the World Baseball Classic is they have a very interesting qualification where the best teams from the previous one make it, and then so it's more similar to cricket in a way in terms of that qualification. But the other thing is the non-direct qualification where you have to go and qualify via a group. It's Spain versus South Africa. It's these teams it's not teams from the same continent. I think eventually what we might see is for example, an African team has not made the World Baseball Classic since South Africa did in 2009. And so it's this type of thing where you see these stories of Ugandan baseball players and other players where there's these academies. It's coming up, and so I think the cool thing will be the evolution of it, where eventually you might start seeing teams from different continents getting automatic bids, and I think that would be cool to see. I mean, granted, I get that you don't want to see Uganda lose to the United States, or to Japan or to whoever. But at the same time, it's I still think that's cool for them.
Well, it's good for the sport.
And it's good for the sport.
It's great for the sport.
And I just that's just how I feel about it. And you also see things for example, the Olympics. Someone like Yuki Kawamura playing really well for Japan got him into the NBA. Or Yabusele for France. And so it's there's also a stage here where some of these guys who had no MLB chances might be wow, that guy played really well. I mean, maybe not the Czech electrician, but someone will make their difference. No, I don't know. I mean, well, why haven't the Red Sox signed him then?
Look, I'm not working for Craig Breslow right now. That's a Patrick Winograd question.
Fair enough. I think it's time to move into our other deep dive, which is Sammy.
This is honestly more than anything. I feel like it's a conversation, something I thought of that could be interesting. But I wanted to talk about, in the theme of Chicago, stadiums, and specifically the new Arlington Heights Stadium that the Bears are not constructing yet, but wanting to start construction on soon. And I know you two are Chicago guys. I am a quasi-Chicago guy, technically not from Chicago, but I feel like I am.
We accept you.
So thank you. But I did want to, as someone who was not actually raised in Chicago or around the city, I wanted to kind of just, and for everyone, thoughts on the stadium, and Calvin too, because the Commanders obviously are going through a similar thing, but
Donald J. Trump Stadium.
No.
It's weird because it's flipped on its head a little bit, because in Chicago, the city and the state is kind of working against the Bears. I mean, not kind of. They are working against the Bears.
And
in a lot
I personally
of ways.
understand it.
And it makes sense for a lot of reasons. In DC, and this was something where at my internship at one of the local news stations there, I mean, I didn't really know much about it, got to be a lot more informed, but the mayor of DC, Muriel Bowser, was really working with the Commanders. She was yes, let's build a city downtown, let's build a stadium downtown in the city. Chicago, obviously that's not the case. So I wanted to kind of just air it out, and because I'm torn on it. What do we think of the stadium being in the suburbs versus downtown? Because having it downtown is awesome for a lot of reasons, but some challenges with it being owned by the city, and with it obviously being a tough venue to transport to. So your thoughts as like Chicagoans, and then I mean just generally we could talk
I
about
think
it.
for me, and I think Calvin has a point to say after this, but it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Like Soldier Field, huge mistake to not make it a retractable roof. I understand that like certain things happen with construction, but
Yeah.
not only did they lost their historical landmark designation by what they did, and that was why they didn't do the roof in the first place, was to try to keep that, and they lost it anyway.
Yeah.
And so, for me, honestly, like I think Soldier Field's pretty cool. I've been to a lot of soccer matches and 2 football games there, both of which the Bears lost, which is kind of sad. But either way, like it is really cool to be able to go out into the concourse and be like, this is the city's right there. Lakeshore Drive is right there. And that is pretty cool.
It's really cool.
But on the flip side, Soldier Field is like they are in a need to move. Soldier Field is the smallest stadium in the NFL. They didn't bid for the World Cup partially because they didn't think they had the capacity for it. And that is another that's a conversation for another day. But it makes sense why they want to build a new stadium. And the only way for them to build a new stadium where they currently are, the land they currently are, or in the city is for it to be partially funded. I mean, technically, the McCaskies could pay for all of it, but they're choosing not to.
Yeah.
And because they aren't, the thing is, will they? It's not even about. I don't like. Part of the question is like, it's not even like Arlington Heights is paying for it. It's just that Arlington Heights is giving them so much tax break, which is incentivizing them to go to the suburbs. Versus, I understandably so, Chicago's not willing to do that because they do need the money for their stadium. And so you're entering a thing where like, I think it'd be awesome if the stadium was downtown. At the same time, every time I have to go to Soldier Field, it is massively inconvenient.
Yeah.
Because it's just not easy to get to, and part of that is just because it's just not near any convenient CTA thing, and the only way to get there by CTA is by taking a bus, and that bus is super unreliable, and you're just better off walking. And part of that walk is special.
Yeah.
And I think Soldier Field, especially since it looks like they're going to move, Soldier Field will probably stay. They'll probably keep hosting concerts there. It's a good venue.
For soccer, I'm sure. Though.
For soccer, they'll continue to, I'm sure. I mean, to be fair, the Fire are moving out to a new stadium, but like maybe international matches, or like when Messi comes or something.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with Arlington Heights, personally, I live on the northwest side of Chicago. The metro line that goes through my part of Chicago goes to Arlington Heights, and there's a station at the racetrack where the stadium would be. So it would go from a commute for me that's like 90 minutes to 10. So for me, that's
very
it's it. Granted, I don't know if I'm going to be living there by the time the stadium's built. And like obviously, like, but that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool. I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose their identity. I think it logistically will be easier. I think that they will be much more likely to build the proper roof stadium, be able to host Super Bowls, be able to do things by being in Arlington Heights. But I will miss the nostalgia of being in the city and what that means.
What really gets me is, I understand the drawbacks of having the stadium at Arlington Heights, and I do think there's a great appeal to having it downtown, like the Commanders are doing. Like I think that'll be really great for DC. I don't know if you agree, but I think that the people that are saying they're in Arlington Heights, like call them the Arlington Heights Bears. They're not the Chicago. Like there are more people that are saying that than like there should be. That like I don't know. It's a stupid argument.
Yeah, where do the Giants and the Jets play?
Landover, Maryland.
There are
not in New York.
There are probably I don't have the math on this. But like there are probably more NFL teams playing outside of the city they're named after than inside the city itself. Right, like the Arlington Cowboys. Like right. So I mean, and there are like a lot of like I was even scrolling on Twitter looking at this earlier today. People say that very frequently. I'm like. And I understand Chicago loves having the Bears downtown, and it means something to have them in the city limits, but like it doesn't make sense. And I do think Arlington Heights, it'll work out. I think it's the best solution for the city and for the Bears themselves. But Tomas or Calvin, I don't know who you wanted to talk.
Yeah, I mean it's something where like having now seen my whole lifetime of a stadium in Landover, Maryland for DC, it's not inherently bad, but the way that stadium and FedEx has been set up for so long with the traffic is what just makes it so awful. Plus the stadium itself.
That's something
is
they have
awful.
to avoid. I think the biggest thing is avoiding what guaranteed rate field is like, where it's just a parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think they're going to. Like they're going to build a whole community around it, which is what you do now.
That's what's important. Yeah. No, Landover FedEx Field, I can tell you from experience, there's no community around it. I mean, there's
a parking lot in the middle of like a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. There's just houses. I mean, there's not anything around. It's not like It literally is just like a self-contained bubble, except the bubble is not anything cool. It's just like
It's just FedEx
bad
Field.
stadium that had like
Sewage
over the years
leaks.
sewage leaks. Jalen Hurts almost literally got killed because the wall collapsed on the far side of him as he was walking through the tunnel. And if it had been on the other side, it would have crushed him, probably taken him out for the year. Can you imagine? By the way, that's like a very realistic alternate timeline that Jalen Hurts could have been like knocked out for the season by our stadium.
If they put out a rival of craziest sports injuries, that would be up there.
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
That's like a what could have been that nobody talks about. But yeah, it's like a reverse situation because I think obviously for you guys, you're moving out of the city. For the Commanders, moving into the city.
Mhm.
I will say there was a lot of resistance for a while to the Commanders Stadium being in DC, and even there are I think 2 members of the DC Council who still ardently oppose it. The others had to be very much persuaded, and even I think the dealings with obviously like you mentioned Donald J. Trump Stadium. I mean, President Trump wasn't always in support of the stadium 100% being there. So there's been a lot of stuff in terms of like that pushback to deal with. Obviously, it's been good to see it through. In terms of the stadium itself, I think it's going to be cool. I mean, they're going to put it in a dome, but there's going to be a lot of light that comes in, and so it's going to be kind of seem like it's outside.
And they have that whole area. I mean, in DC, the east side of the city.
Yeah, and they'll also build a community around.
Right, because it's. I mean, you go there now and it's like parking lots and like there's nothing there. So like,
or formerly commercial or formerly industrial.
Right, but like I mean, they're gonna have so much land to work around with, and I think they're gonna do a good job of building the community, like they did at Nats Park. They did a really good job, and like Wrigley's done with Gallagher
Wrigley's
Way.
the blueprint.
Wrigley is the blueprint, and that's the thing. Like I think there are obviously drawbacks to going to the suburbs, but like you can remedy that, and that they will remedy it by, I mean, businesses, like
that's the hope.
Residential,
That's the
like
hope.
all the stuff around it, and I mean, I think it'll be a good thing, but like there is a part of me that's like, it's unfortunate not being on the lakefront anymore, because that is, I mean, one of the best views in football.
It's cool.
I mean, just you see this year's tower and just everything, right? So,
but it's also time.
They need a new stadium, and they just have to do it as quickly as possible.
And like you said, there's just too much opposition.
Yeah.
Well, and I think just at the end of the day, it comes down to the money, right? Like you said, Pierson. Like the McCaskies, they could pay for it, but they don't want to, and that's just how it is with American sports franchises. You're kind of at the whim of these billionaire owners, and you got to do what they say. And as much as Soldier Field is so cool with the location for all the reasons you guys have mentioned, maybe this is my bias as a suburbanite, right? But like, if the choice is either the Bears continue in Soldier Field, which the 2006 renovation was just a massive mistake, but either the Bears continue in that stadium, or you get a new stadium and Chicago becomes once again a major hub for sporting events, right? And Chicago could host Super Bowls and Final Fours and World Cups, and right, like Chicago needs to be at the forefront of those events as the third largest city in the United States. And the fact of the matter is that Chicago is not in that spot.
They never have.
And
right?
Arlington
because
at one point Chicago was, right? Like 1994 World Cup opening ceremony was in Chicago. You think of just Chicago being such a no-brainer city, but in the past 10 years, I would say since the 2016 Copa America, which Chicago hosted a semifinal for, since then I can't think of a single major international sporting event that was hosted in Chicago. And really it's just the Bears games, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and the
Bears
Fire
games,
and the Fire.
Fire international,
But
and concerts also a huge thing, and that will continue to be a huge thing.
And something else I'll say before I, if you guys want to move it along forward, but I with the 2006 renovation, was that the year when it was
2006?
Yeah, whenever it was, and something I've thought of is like, I think the timing of that was really unfortunate because it came just before
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
So early 2000s, right? Came right before this new wave of like more modern stadiums, right? Like they were like 10 years behind schedule, because like if they build that stadium or start that process maybe like 5-10 years later, like maybe you're looking at something like what the Vikings have in Minneapolis, or like what the Raiders have at Allegiant, or what have you.
I do hope though that the stadium has some sort of unique aspect. All the renderings I've seen are very similar to Allegiant.
Yes.
And it's not that I don't like that. It's just that I feel like some part of it has to still have a Chicago identity or something that's unique to the Bears.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We don't know. Like,
don't want to just be like a corporate.
Yeah, like the renderings are the renderings. We'll see what they actually build. I think the biggest kind of blueprint for it is honestly Ryan Field, because it's again, Ryan Field is positioning itself as a state-of-the-art facility, the best place to watch football in the country. And so that's what the Bears are probably going to try to do too. And so I think how well Northwestern Stadium ends up doing for the community and for just kind of in the context of college football. I think you can extrapolate that to the NFL potentially.
Some are calling the Bears the Northwestern Wildcats of the NFL.
Yeah, man,
That's true.
Yeah,
That's what they're saying.
that is maybe what
Did
someone.
Caleb Williams also throw all those picks? Or no?
Well, either way, it's time to go into pick'em.
Should have picks.
Yeah, it's kind of really natural segues into certain topics. This is gonna be the final segment for us today. I wrote the questions. It is the Chicago episode, so I guess it's only right. Honestly, it just happened to end up that way. Like Calvin and I switch off every week, and it just happened to line up with this week of me doing the rundown. But it was very possible that Calvin would have, and then he would have had to figure out what Chicago thing he wants to write about. But either way, yeah, I mean, both Sammy and Gabe, both of you have been pretty strong on Pick'em. Obviously, you have the legacy of being host, but also, I mean, from what it seems, from what you've told me or just being on the show, you've had some success. So this matters. I think this may be, no offense, but this might be the reverse of Matt versus.
There's always a Matt Campbell.
Well, because it's Matt versus Brian was the only first year who hadn't won. He finally won.
I think I was undefeated during the Sammy Crimstein regime at Pick'em.
We should have kept records. That was
you're
that was
1
our
and 1
fault.
with us. I think.
We can't verify.
Or 1
Yeah.
or 2 and 1.
I'm 1-1 with you guys.
Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Jonathan beat you, and then you beat Matt with his ChatGPT. Again, just the ChatGPT episode debacle. Either way, don't use ChatGPT here, please.
No.
At the end of the day, you guys both know how it works. Although Tomas will be voting with us as well, which theoretically should prevent a tie with 2 of you. But I mean, I guess like somehow that might. Yeah, but either way, we're gonna start with the first one. I'm calling it Condiment City. Chicago's a town where condiments matter. Such as, in the words of Kendrick Lamar, mustard. Right. You were expecting me. You were expecting me to do it like the song. No. But if I catch you, don't put ketchup on hot dogs, guys. It's pretty simple.
Don't do it.
You can't do it. You can put some relish if you want. The greener the better.
favorite
Go to the Wiener Circle and get free hot dogs.
Yeah, on Tuesday, because
Oh,
Ben
right.
Johnson said good, better, best shirtless.
He did.
And that got but it,
Never let it rest.
Never let it rest.
Never.
Well, I think we'll end the show with that. Either way, though, your job today is to give a Chicago team its own signature sauce. So I guess it could be college, it could be professional, any sport. You are the head of a new marketing division tasked with creating one. What's the condiment's name? What are key ingredients that connect it to the team's identity? And which current or former Chicago athlete is the perfect person to promote it? It could be Chicago sports or from Chicago, I guess, as well. The examples I wrote were the Madhouse Malort and the Goats Gruyere. I wrote this, and I'm having a stroke reading it.
I just had some earlier.
Gruyere, yeah, type of cheese.
Gruyere.
So that would be, I guess, Jordan's cheese, and then the other one would be like maybe like a bar sauce potentially. Either way, those are just examples. It seems like Sammy really wants to start, so
because I think with the Chicago connection, I feel like I have an edge here.
Yeah, I'm
Here
at a
is my
disadvantage
condiment.
today.
Yeah. Stacy's, give me the hot sauce sriracha.
That's my goal.
I don't know if you guys were thinking of that when you wrote the question, because it felt obvious to me as soon as I read it. But for those unfamiliar, which if you're listening in the Chicago area, you probably are familiar. So Stacey King is the GOAT. He did play for the Bulls in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was part of some of those Jordan teams.
he was in the last.
He was a center. Yes, he was in the Last Dance. This is true. But his claim to fame is being the analyst for the Chicago Bulls television team, and he is one of the best
Elizabeth,
to do it.
I'm coming.
My goal.
Yes. He has. I mean, because
Gucci man.
he has. Yeah, he is right. As these guys are saying, Stacey King has
Jimmy
so
Buckets.
many sayings.
Pow.
Get out of the way.
Right. Yeah.
He's your Dennis Eckersley. Okay. I got
Right.
it.
Yeah. Right. Like he's got so much. And my favorite saying of his, and I think one of the ones he goes to the most is, "Give me the hot sauce" or "Sriracha."
Yeah.
Right. I mean, all the time. So it jumped out to me immediately. I unfortunately have not bit the bullet to pay for the new Chicago Sports Network.
CHSN.
It makes me very sad that they
actually-
did that to
I
us.
think you get it with Xfinity Stream. I know
I'm
you're not
off
on campus, but
yeah, I know.
for
But
Tomas.
maybe I'll have to trek down to Norris to watch them. Like I had to watch the Cubs when I didn't buy Marquee earlier this year. But regardless, although I can't watch Bulls games anymore, they took that from me. Stacey King is still in my heart, and I think Stacey's "Give Me the Hot Sauce Sriracha" is a winner, and I think the city of Chicago will be eating it up
Oh.
all over town.
Man, that's a rough thing to
that's-
follow.
that's-
Well, I'm at
That's-
such a disadvantage. I feel like this is like the cards were stacked against me
Yeah.
today. Okay, before I came here, I was at 10Q Chicken, which is where I saw Marcus Romaine, and their salad dressing, their salad dressing is delightful. Romaine, anyone?
Whoa!
But
Romaine.
I don't know about
That's
you
funny.
guys, but I don't like just eating straight mixed greens. And we need a sauce for it. And this 10Q sauce was delightful. And I found a recipe online. It's like a garlic mayo with soy sauce and rice vinegar and like pineapple juice.
Oh.
And it makes your greens delightful. And we all know Chicagoans don't eat a lot of green food. And I
Except for the
think
relish.
yes, except for relish,
The relish
artificial
has to
green.
be,
food.
it has to be neon. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, all right, who can pitch this idea to the masses? So I think Patrick Wisdom needs to come back from Korea, walk back into that Cubs clubhouse, and just like present them the sauce. Like the commercial is just Wisdom walking back in, and there's like a glow,
And
like
what's the sauce?
radiating.
And what's the sauce called?
Wisdom's wicked white sauce.
Okay.
Okay.
And Patrick Wisdom just walks in, and every player's like,
Triple
"Oh my
W.
god!"
What is the sauce?
You see, like it's a salad dressing
It's a salad
with
dressing.
it's a salad dressing with
Lots of
mayonnaise,
sauce.
garlic, onion, soy sauce, rice
Lots of
vinegar,
sauce.
pineapple
He
juice,
has the recipe.
sesame oil. I found it on bigoven.com.
Okay, here's a
Um,
recipe. I don't have a recipe.
Sunflower seeds. No,
I
but
mean, it
right.
is
So it's
sriracha,
like
yeah.
imagine like John Lackey, you know, with the gut, like sitting on the bench, being like, and there and Joe Madden comes up and is like, John, you got to eat your salad. And then he's like, but I hate just eating those dry greens, Joe. And then Patrick Wisdom walks in with like the radiating bowl of white sauce. And John Lackey suddenly like is throwing 99 again. Chicken and beer scandal well behind him. And the Cubs make it back to the pennant.
Wow.
Wow, that'd be pretty fire. I can't lie.
I do like the Cubs
Um,
making it to the pennant.
All right. Second question. I'm calling this the elevator pitch. The L is in the elevated train. The CTA. Yeah. Don't worry, Gabe. We're gonna start.
Okay. I don't think Sammy's taking mine on this.
Yeah. So basically, all this is literally just you're stuck on a stalled L train with one major free agent, star coach, something like that. And they're considering moving to
Lane
Chicago.
Kiffin.
They're considering moving to Chicago or
Eli
Chicagoland. The thing is, though, you have to pitch them and maybe like a one-stop journey or just like I guess if it's stalled, you just got like a certain amount of time. We're probably gonna cap it at 60 seconds because of time we have today. But I guess just basically, you cannot mention championships. You cannot mention like money or the team's roster or
I don't
the
know if
team's
championships would be a great
Yeah,
argument.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
I mean-
maybe these categories aren't really needle movers recently. But like you can't mention like team outcome or anything like that. It can't be anything about the team. It just has to be about Chicago and why they should be there. And maybe some sports as well, but at least just not related to the team you're trying to pitch them to. So I guess we'll start with Gabe and then go into Sammy. So I guess who are you pitching to, and then just give your pitch.
Picture this: we're at Merchandise Mart, and in walks Noah Lyles.
Okay.
Chicago Union needs a new cutter. Chicago Union, Chicago's ultimate frisbee team, needs someone who can just be the fastest runner.
Hey, where do they play their home games?
Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium.
That is right.
True story.
So come north to the greatest suburb of Chicago, Evanston, and come play your games at this beautiful lakefront field where you're looking out over the landscape. And Noah Lyles is faster than anyone in the American Ultimate Disc League. I can guarantee that. So the whole thing with Frisbee is that you're disc. You're throwing it, and then you need someone to just run out and catch those long passes. A lot of it is short range, but if you just throw Noah Lyles deep into the end zone and you have someone who can huck it to him, Noah Lyles is going to lead this league in points easily. And I think he could take over this league for good. And what better thing than to dominate in Chicago and dominate in Evanston?
Wow.
Frisbee.
Noah Lyles, you're coming to Chicago.
So you
Frisbee
you
pitch.
talked about discs and you didn't mention Dorothy Dodson. Come on. man.
She's
Come
dead.
on.
She's dead. Let her rest in peace,
Yeah, fair
Pierson.
enough, fair enough.
Offensive.
Either way, Sammy, go ahead.
All right. Bear with me here. This is such a stretch, but it's okay. Tom Bosworth. I don't think anyone knows. I didn't know who he was until 2 seconds ago, but I looked up.
Thomas Bosworth.
Well, you probably actually. Yeah, I'm with Gabe Shumway. That's true. Gabe knows these things. I looked up best speed walker in the world, and I want to bring him to Chicago Walkers, which is a speed walking club, right? We want to bring in.
Sammy's taking one out of my book.
We want to bring in the best talent there is to be on ChicagoWalkers.org. So Tom Bosworth, wow, he's from Great Britain. He's on the L. And my pitch is Chicago is the most walkable city in the United States. You don't want to walk in London, right? No. Get out of London. That's not where you want to be. That's too big, whatever. The tea isn't good. The food is terrible. No. I don't want fish and chips. It's terrible. Okay, so it's a walkable city, right? Not only can I appeal to him, right? Chicago's great and walkable. It's I mean, the downtown, it just sprawls out, right? Very unique. We have alleys. New York, maybe take notes. It helps. Trash doesn't pile up on the streets, so you can actually walk on the sidewalks. It's clean, doesn't smell bad, right? Great walkable city. But also, right, he's from Great Britain. The food, terrible. No one wants, I mean, teen crumpets, I don't know, like, bean on sandwich. Like, no, don't want any of that. Chicago food is a huge selling point. So that's also, get him some deep dish pizza, Italian sausage. Tom Bosworth, you are a Chicago walker.
We've got walkers and runners. We need like joggers.
Yeah, meet the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
Raphael
in this one,
There we go.
point game. We usually switch back, but because there's two of you, I think we're gonna let you go first for this one again, just so there's a little bit of not like a handicap, but just
Wonderful.
yeah, just like a just giving you a chance. Shooting for the skyline is the third one. A new building is being added to the Chicago skyline, and its design must be inspired by the attributes of any Chicago athletes or athlete. You're the architect. Who are you basing it off? What's the personality of the structure? That's what I have down here. And try to keep this pretty brief.
This might be my funniest pitch ever on SportsVoice.
Okay.
I think we need a pharmaceutical sales building inspired by Sammy Sosa.
Explain.
So they're gonna sell steroids and other over-the-counter medications in a Sammy Sosa inspired building in the shape of a corked bat. So it's just like a big cylinder, almost like a silo, except there's like the cork drilled through the top. And it's gonna have like Sammy Sosa as their spokesperson now that Chicago has forgiven him. The Cubs have extended their arms once again to him, and I think it's the perfect time to capitalize on this. So you can have Sosa just talking about his upbringing, his like he really was that first big rags to riches story in the MLB, and people forget how much everyone thought of Mark McGwire as this kind of spoiled brat, and Sammy Sosa as this real young upstart guy. And I feel like for a pharmaceutical sales company that really needs an upstart to get people to buy their drugs. Over the counter drugs. Over the counter drugs. I think there's no better representative than the healed and recovered Sammy Sosa with a cylindrical building in the shape of a cork bat.
I do like that. All right. So
Would you
no further comment. All right.
This is
My
gonna be
building-
an orating move if he wins.
My building is after a Chicago Bulls legend. And it's not going to be the tallest building because
Muggsy
this
Bogues?
player was not the tallest player. Not Muggsy Bogues,
Oh,
but Nate Robinson.
Yes.
5'9", I believe. Slam dunk contest legend. Really fun player. So this building, now it's not going to be very tall, but Nate Robinson, I mean, he could dunk the basketball.
Oh, yeah.
He has hops. So this building is actually going to be suspended. I don't know how they're going to do this, but the architect can decide. Whatever. That's their job. But it's going to be suspended above ground between two other buildings to represent Nate Robinson having hops. So it's not a tall building, but it's above the ground, right? And Nate Robinson, right? I mean, not only was he a baller, obscure baller, some would say, but he was just a big personality, always smiling, right? So this is a building, and I don't know how they're going to do this, but it's going to have a personality, right? It's not going to just be your straight up corporate boring rectangle skyscraper. No. It's gonna have some edges. It's gonna have some twists and turns, right? It's gonna have some color to it because Nate Robinson was just someone who had a big personality, and people gravitated towards him. I think fans and guys on the Bulls. So Nate Robinson skyscraper coming soon to Chicago.
Okay. It's time to vote real quick, and then we're gonna have to. This is gonna be the end.
Yeah.
It was a very fun episode. Thank you
Sport
once
block.
again to Gabe and Sammy for joining us.
Of course.
It was very fun. We're gonna start with Condiment City, which is the one where you just had to make your condiment. Sammy went with Stacy's "Give me the hot sauce," sriracha, and Gabe went with Wisdom's Wicked White Sauce, which with mayo, garlic, onions, pineapple, sunflower seeds, other stuff, etc.
Sesame oil.
Sesame oil. My bad. Okay, Calvin. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So we can have Tomas vote first, and then go down the line. And then we can do kind of what we do with the usual pick 'em, but it's voting.
This is. I don't like being on the other side of this. This is stressful.
May the best man win.
Sorry, Gabe. Sammy he went in for Stacey King. One of
I went in for the kill.
my greatest inspirations for being a sports journalist in the first place. I have to go with "Give me the hot sauce sriracha."
Loki was a gimme, unfortunately.
Sorry, Gabe.
Honestly, like literally, if he gave anything else besides this is like so perfect because
he
he's
did just
Stacey King, like
I think
unironically.
the election was rigged, guys.
Stammy. I mean, Andrew said so. But Stacey King literally says that every single game, and so I'm surprised he hasn't done this already. So I'm gonna.
I think that would actually sell.
It would.
That would be a like with his face on it and like.
This is called "Give me the hot sauce."
Well, yeah, like
an actual hot sauce.
I may need to pitch him the idea. I've met Adam Amin. I need to go and meet Stacey King and be like, hey, dude, I have an idea for you. Maybe I could get Professor Candy Lee to help me with the marketing for it.
Oh.
You know, it's full circle.
Okay, Calvin.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sammy here as well. I love both answers. I just think that's a little more connected to like true identity. I think rather than not to say that Wisdom's Wicked White Sauce is not.
All Cubs fans love
They both sound great. I mean, honestly,
That's true. I
both
love
sound great.
I would love
the most rookie home runs by any Cub ever. Any Cub ever, yeah. Okay, so Sammy takes round one. The second one is the elevator pitch. You're stuck on the train. You have to give the pitch. Gabe pitched Noah Lyles, the Chicago Union Ultimate Frisbee team, based here in Evanston at Northwestern Madison Field at Martin Stadium from here forward. And Sammy pitched to Tom Bosworth, the greatest speed walker, apparently, for the Chicago Walkers Speed Walking Club. Wow, both running related, although one running, one walking. Calvin, I guess since you talked about jogging, you should go first here.
I mean, I don't know. I feel bad because I think this is like Sammy's is just like elite ball knowledge that I feel like is like again Chicago required. We've talked about how Gabe is at like sort of a disadvantage. I really like the Noah Lyles answer, but ultimately I think just like the Tom Bosworth pull is too elite to pass up for an obscure baller sports voice combined special. That's
I had to do it.
Dorothy Dodson should have been the pick.
I feel like I beat Gabe. At his own game with.
To be fair, that was like an insane. Like that was a Shumway answer versus Shumway answer.
If I lose to Tom Bosworth, I am perfectly content.
Yeah, I mean
that's kind of ridiculous. I think I'm gonna have to double up here and give it to Sammy. I mean, for the same reasons as Calvin said, I just think the Chicago Walker Speed Walking Club existing is just ridiculous. It's a competitive organization. No offense, like I'm sure they're elite at speed walking, but just like
they're looking to step up
regular walk.
I don't know, but now they speed walk because Tom Bosworth is coming to town.
I love race walking. It is one of my favorite Olympic events.
Wait,
I do got to see a Peruvian world champion.
I do want to give a shout out.
I'm sorry, Gabe. I love the frisbee too. I love the frisbee match. I played frisbee in high school. I do love ultimate frisbee. I will say.
I do want to give a shout out to a friend of the station, Eli Cronenberg, who I have you guys have probably not. He's a good friend of mine. He is like one of the fastest walkers I've ever seen. Like genuinely, like I think he should. Yes, like
I walked back with him once from Welsh Red. I was outpacing the man.
No, but like no. When he wants to, like I've seen it. Like I do think that Eli Cronenberg should go into a speed walking competition because I think he'd do very well. Love Eli. That's my guy.
You gotta pitch it.
I do. I should.
Bosworth, Shumway, Cronenberg, speed walking competition. Sammy on the call for.
Oh my God. Yes, we need it.
Honestly, both of Sammy's answers were Gabe-esque because Gabe was talking before the show about his favorite local sportscaster, I believe. And so the same type of thing. So I mean, Gabe, you're kind of getting beat at your own game, which is unfortunate. But it also kind of just shows that you come up with creative answers, so he has to just outcreate.
If I'm
you.
inspiring
right.
the
Yeah, you gotta
masses,
brand
That's the thing. Like,
I'm
I can't just come up with a run of the mill answer when I'm going against this guy. Like, I gotta step it up a notch.
Either way, final one is shooting for the skyline, and you just had to make a building based on a Chicago athlete. Gabe went with a pharmaceutical headquartered shaped of a corked bat in honor of Sammy Sosa, but because he's been embraced, he embraces that too. And I guess just sells a bunch of steroids to hopefully not children.
No, these are like for people who
no.
are like coming out of surgery.
Yeah,
Of course, yes. And then Sammy went with the Nate Robinson building. I wrote here short building. And the building is suspended between two buildings.
Yeah.
In honor of
that
him
works.
being
Physics
in the
says
air.
it's a
Yes,
rut.
of course.
Yeah.
I guess I have to vote first here. I like both these answers. I think to prove that this is not rigged, and also just because I think it's a funny idea. I'm gonna go with Gabe here. The Sammy Sosa thing. While I do think that Sammy Sosa did nothing wrong, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I do think this is very funny playing on words, and not play on words, just play on him, I guess. And I think it fit what I was going for with the question. The shape of the corked bat specifically.
Yeah, to keep it quick, I'll go with Gabe. Same reason. I know you said it was potentially your best pitch on Sports Voice. I thought it was.
I think it was my stupidest pitch on Sports Voice, actually.
Stupidest, best. Sometimes they go hand in hand with pick'em.
A lot of
at
times
the end
they
of the
do.
day, yeah, no, I would go with
Although
Gabe.
shout out Nate Robinson, I think he just got a transplant. I think he was
did.
battling cancer,
Like
and
kidney
he's
or something,
he's
yeah.
he's killing it
Love
now.
that guy.
So I beat the guy with cancer? No, I don't want to win this way.
No, but Nate Robinson, great guy, and my uncle, who he worked for the Cubs before, Chicago guy, but now works for the Mariners in Seattle. He says that Nate Robinson, he's from Seattle, and he's still like, I mean, of course he's been battling cancer, but before then, and even now when he can, he will show up to just like pickup games, just like in
That's
Seattle,
really cool.
and he just like people, it'll just be like 40-something-year-old guys just playing pickup basketball, and then Nate Robinson is
pulls
like,
out.
all right, I'm a ball out. So great guy, and just only played with the Bulls for one season, but that
Bulls legend. I
that
mean,
dunk
I
contest.
remember it very
yeah,
well.
I mean he was fantastic.
Well, yeah, okay, so Sammy takes the pick'em win here. Congratulations, Sammy. The combined.
You know what? I only had to. I had to be.
I think out of all of the ones in the past, Gabe, I think this is one you can be okay with.
Yeah.
This is
I
one
can
you're
live
very
with this
content with. Either way, thank you so much to Sammy and Gabe again for being on the show. Obviously, it's been such a fun time to host a combined sports podcast. This is not something we've done before. Obviously, there was obscure take in the past. So I guess this is sports ballers. So we just need her ballers, and that's it. That's it. That's the last one. Either way, though, a very fun time, and I guess I promised that we would end it with a Ben Johnson call, so I guess we got to. And I guess Gabe and Calvin, you can partake if you would like. But either way, all right, I can't take off my shirt, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Okay, all right. Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Never won.
Sorry.
Take two.
Ready? And action.
Good, best.
Good, better, best.
Never let it rest.
Never let it rest.
Good gets better.
Good gets better.
And your better gets best.
Your better gets best.
Bear down. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Packers, let's go.
Packers. Yeah. It seems like the Commanders are leading 14-13.
Traylon Burks just made the catch of his life. It was insane, like Odell worthy.
Either way, on that note, I hope that you this week, fellow listeners and watchers, you're good, you're better, and you're best this week, and just never let it rest.
Can't let her.
Never let it rest, especially during reading week and finals week for sure. Either way, have a great one. For Pierson, Strandquist, Tomas, Moran, and Calvin Kaplan. This has been Sports Voice X Obscure Ballers X Sports Voice.
One more week.
One more week. You've been listening to WNUR Sports 9.3 FM HD1 Evanston, Chicago, or listening or watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.